Hi, everybody. Welcome to Le Huddle, my new show. And today we start the new episode, The Journey. And today I with Chandra Webb. How are you, Chandra?
Oh, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm very good, very fine. For those who don't know who you are a Richmond Webb wife. So you're the lady behind this man, and I'm pretty sure you have a big part on anything he achieved during his life because I'm sure you was always behind him saying, "Hey, do better, improve."
Improve. Yeah, pretty good.
So the purpose on this show is to share stories around football. The journey has the name of the episode, and today we will try to develop the stories with a woman's wife player because we never talk about that, and I'm pretty sure there is a lot of thing to share. So are you ready for your first show with France and Paris?
Yes, I am.
So let's go. And I start with the first question. How do you handle the sacrifice Richmond Webb made for his career?
Well, I think the first sacrifices that he had to make was like when you're growing up, you have to set aside that time, that commitment to the thing that you want to do, right? So he really
Yeah.
liked basketball and he liked football. But he ended up putting the time in for football. And so I'm just kind of thinking about it. I was like, when you're young, your friends are out doing other things that they want to do, having fun and stuff. And you really have to control your mind to say, well, no, this is what I want to do. And then Richmond is also the type of person that if he gives you his word, he does it. So his coach, if he told his coach he'd be at practice, that's where he was going to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I think the sacrifices once he got to the league, of course, was like I always looked at it like a job, right? So
Yeah.
he just went to work every day, and did these. He did very well at what he did, but um, he took it seriously, by watching what he ate and just making sure he did things that he's supposed to do. So really just kind of putting the time in to make sure that whatever dream you have as a young person, you continue to do those things to make sure that when you get to the dream, you don't mess the dream up.
Yeah. Of course. And
Yeah.
between football and basketball, you maybe have a preference before before you select. Maybe you was a basketball fan first of football.
I think we talked about it. He said he really liked basketball growing up, but he was more suitable for football.
But in a wife perspective, maybe you prefer you play football basketball because you don't get so much earth on the field in a basketball.
Oh, I am going to have to say, I'm gonna be honest with you. I
Yes,
only
please.
started watching I only started watching basketball when our daughter started playing it.
Okay.
Probably was 5 or 6 years. Oh no, like yeah, about 6 years ago. I think she was in high school. And so I didn't understand nothing about basketball, but football. I grew up watching the football here in Houston with the Oilers and the Steelers. And so I know way more about football than I
Yeah.
do about basketball.
Okay. So you was fine when you pick football.
I'm cool. Yeah.
And how do you find balance between football and family life? Because this is something that is interesting in your perspective. How do you find balance?
I think we found balance by, like I said, I always considered football a job. That was his work, right? So he had to go to
Yeah.
work. So he was off on Tuesdays. And then the rest of the time, he just went to work normal, right? Come home. So I guess, like in the roles that husbands and wives, especially a wife that stays at home, you kind of, make sure the kids and the things of the house function properly so that the husband doesn't have to really worry about things. I, I grew up in the South, so I'm kind of traditional, and he's traditional as well. So it kind of worked out. But I just kind of always looked at it like a job. And I think even though he did really, really well, I just never really emphasized that as like this big thing, as opposed to like when we got home, it was family time. You play with the kids, you see the kids, we eat dinner, watch TV, we go to bed.
Like normal family at the end.
Yeah. And then, once he stopped, because on Sundays, he played football. Now on Sundays, we go to church. That's how I was raised. Yeah. So our
There's
faith is
always
important.
something to do.
It's always something to do.
And because as a fan, we always think that professional athletes are different, they have a different life, but at the end of the day, when you go through your life, it's at the end it's the same life. The only thing it's when I go to work, no one record me, no one talk about what I do at work except my colleague. For Richmond, of course, we are still talking about how he did in his career, so that's the little difference.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, in family, it's the same. You have to do your job in the house. And speaking about job in the house, was Richmond as disciplined at home as he was on the field?
I think so. You know what? Richmond is very consistent, right? Very consistent person. And so he likes things to be like normal, I guess is the word I would use. But yeah, I think he's consistent. Well, you know what? I'll take that back. Now, I was surprised when I think our oldest daughter played soccer. And he said something. I don't remember the exact words, but I was talking to a couple of the other parents, and I was like, "Oh, I guess he really is competitive, right?" And so they were like, "Don't you know who you're married to?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, I do, but I guess I just, like I said, I never looked at it more than it being that was his profession. More, you know what I'm saying?" So, but he is consistent. He would tell the girls, whatever you do, give it 100%. Don't, waste people's time. If you're listening to your coaches, because one track, one played basketball.
Yeah.
So
but
he took his life experiences and taught his.
Actually, but we do the same. I mean, I sometimes when I talk to my kids, I say, listen, I'm not talking to my colleagues, I'm not at work. I'm saying the same kind of thing, always to getting better, to try to improve day in, day out. And I'm like, oh, but
yeah,
that's it.
That's
for
it.
you
And
on
what
some,
about? Go ahead.
Please.
I was gonna tell you, the youngest one time said, she said, "I know Dad is always telling me, the one that played basketball, always telling me these things," and she said, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know how it is out here. And I said, he kind of does, right? I said, you should go look your daddy up one day, and then you'll understand. He kind of does know what he's talking about.
That's good.
And she's the youngest. She was only like 6 months, I think, when he was injured in 2002. So she doesn't know any of that.
He was playing with the Bengals, right?
With the Bengals, yeah. And so she,
and,
she grew. He was at home. I mean, he worked too, but afterwards. But he was kind of around for her.
So she was not stressful about Sundays. Oh, did Dan Marino get hurt? It's that fault or not? not that kind of thing. It's cool. At the end, it's cool. But for you on Sundays, do you have some stress moments? You was on stadium on TV watching Richmond playing. What was your I mean routine during those Sundays?
I don't think I was stressed. I think you pray first, right? We trust God. And so we pray, we ask God to protect and keep him and keep all the other players, because nobody wants to see anybody get hurt. And but the routine was normal. It was like we just going to the game. You go to the game, you watch the game, if they have something that you want to eat that day, you go get that. And then, then where are we going to eat after the game is over?
I mean,
It's I'm telling you, it's really super normal, right?
yeah, but that's what I found funny and fascinating, because I mean, we always envision that the life could be different. I mean, it's a sport that people can get hurt. I mean, we saw two 1 week ago, but
Yeah.
I always imagine that every time you have a play, you're not really focused on the game, but more on Richmond, for example, for you. But at the end, like you said, it's just a game. It's his work, and this is it. And you pray for him, of course. But at the end, it's I mean, you will not be a better family or a worse family depending of his result, right? The family staying the
Right.
same, even with result or not, right?
Right. And Richmond's the kind of person that, you'll hear the word said of him a lot, that he's humble, right?
Yeah,
He's very humble. And so he didn't put at the house, it wasn't that it seemed like it was more important than if the kid needed some help with some work or something. It wasn't like that. It's just more of, like I said, that was his job. But then, of course, afterwards, when you go play on Sunday, then you go get your massage or something so that you can get your muscles right. So we just kind of like always maintained it normal.
yeah,
I always, even with the girls, just we wanted life to appear like normal to them. Not Richmond never goes anywhere and he has an entourage. It's just me and him. And so it makes it appear it's normal, like I tell people, he drives a Ford 150. I mean, he's just a normal person who did extraordinarily well in his
yeah.
craft, right?
Yeah, because for someone who is so much humble, you're talking about someone who have made 7 consecutive Pro Bowl, 4 consecutive All Pro. He's part of the 90s All-Deccan team. He was the highest paid tackle in his era when he was playing. He has the record of consecutive game, 118. He's a legend of the Miami Dolphins. He's a legend of the sport. And when you talk with him, it's like I'm talking with my uncle. It's normal, it's like
Normal, yeah. And I even had to
sometimes,
go look up some of those stats. I
yeah,
didn't know all of that stuff, because you just don't really think about that.
it's I mean, I prefer that kind of person, than the person who's really have the shoulders. And because, like I said, always, you guys just play with a ball. You don't change the life of people. I mean, so we have to have a balance sometimes. To When someone is saying, "Oh, I was the best, I'm the best in this planet Earth," go relax, man. You do not change the life on anybody. You don't cure any disease in this life. But I have respect for what you did, because you dedicate your life. And sports is very competitive, especially football, because it's the best athletes on what they do. So big respect for that, and don't try to downgrade. But I prefer people like Richmond, very humble, very accessible, because it gives us the chance to understand what they're doing. And that's how I understand now the journey, because I was able to talk with people like Richmond. But for the funny part,
Oh,
what's something about Richmond that people don't know? Just to have something funny, or not, maybe something
let's
fascinating.
see. I think, well, I know people don't know this. So, I told you how our faith is very important to us. He reads his Bible every day, every morning. He reads the Bible. He always encourages his friends. I love that. People call him and just, you know, get advice, or I do love this too. He always reminds his friends of either his Valentine's Day or anniversary, something like that. So, his friends, stay good with their wives. um, And I always tell them, I say, listen, the best thing you ever did was accept my family because they're a little crazy. But no, he serves in church every Sunday. Like, people don't know that kind of stuff. But I think more importantly that I appreciate is that he's a praying man and that he reads his Bible every day, for sure. That people, I don't think, would know that.
So now we know.
Now you know.
And you know, I'm pretty sure you saw that on social media. We create a group to support Richmond Webb for the Hall of Fame. I will try to mention everybody, because the more the months goes, the more people are getting in this group to try to do the best for him. So there is Ali Dolfricki, Ashley, Lisa, Miss Fins, Bob, and Reason, who has a podcast with Richmond. You have Key Sims, his partner with the Miami Dolphins when he was playing. He's very, he's pushing a lot, and me also in this group, and we are trying to do the best to make him elective for, even if we can affect election. It's not in our hands. The only thing that we can do is create awareness, create a momentum, and push it, and pray that pro football voters will take a look at his career, because I think it's just about taking a look again, because there is maybe new voters that don't really see him play, because to be elected in the all-decade team, you have to be elected by pro football voters. So back in that time, they saw him for a decade, one of the 4 best tackle during a decade. So it means that, and I read a lot of articles that everyone was talking about Hall of Fame career, Hall of Fame player. So he has all the credentials to be there. So how do you feel about Richmond being mentioned as a Hall of Fame candidate? And we are 3 left, so it's time to hurry up.
Okay. I want to say, first of all, thank y'all for everything y'all are doing for him. To bring the awareness about, him and his career and stuff. So I really, really appreciate that. And what'd you ask me? I just forgot just that quick.
What?
What did you ask me? I forgot just that
No,
quick.
it was just, how do you feel about that? How do you feel about him to be elected?
I just think it's awesome. And I really think it's, it's humbling in a way, like that people really want to do something nice for you. About to bring me to tears, so hold on. He's such a nice, I was gonna say sweet person, but he is a sweet person, and he worked really hard for the 13 years that he was in the league. And so just even to be mentioned with all of the other great people that have gone before him, I think it's just an honor, right? That's how I really feel. I'm kind of, just everything that y'all are doing for him, I'm kind of like, wow, I didn't even know some of the stuff in the beginning. So just to, I'm starting to really like tell, like he told me I need to kind of calm it down a little bit, but I'm gonna need y'all to vote for him. I need y'all to vote for him.
We all vote for him.
So yeah, I just think it's really cool that y'all are doing that for him. And he is really, I think, floored a little bit that y'all did all that for him, especially when he went down there a couple of weeks ago. So I just thank you again, and prayerfully in February we'll hear his name called.
Yeah, and I mean, the good thing with the sharing we did today, we understand that you guys live as a normal family, and all the love you receive, it's of the love you receive because you have the entire Miami Dolphins loving Richmond Webb, of course, and all the love you receive, it's amazing because we are never prepared for that. But I will say this to the entire Miami Dolphins community: it's time to be all together. It's time for all the players who play with Richmond calling my brother to stand up for him, because if, and I said it very clearly, if he's not electing during the last 3 years of his modern era, we will not be there anymore to celebrate him, because there is 180 player, 180 player in the backlog. The backlog is the senior group, and you almost have, in the best case scenario with the new rules, 1 player elected by every year. So it took 180 years to elect the players who are already in the senior group. So for me, it's a travesty if Richmond, with his resume, going to the senior group and not being linked into his era, his modern era. So I beg the organization, the Miami Dolphin organization, player, I beg Dan Marino, he protect you during your 10 years. You can't just have 2 minutes saying how great Richmond is, because your coach in college, Jackie Sherrill, tell us that you will be saying he belongs to the Hall of Fame. So any players, please record with your phone. We don't need to talk together, because I'm just a normal guy, and I understand there is, you guys talked with expert guys. I understand it, but just record with your phone, send us it. We put it on social media, and we're pushing for him, because pro football voters, and I understand it too, will not just listen fans, because if they listen fans, every player in every team will be elected, because all the fans pushing for their player. But to players that they all respect, it's good to listen this. So I am thankful for the testimonial we received with Keith Sims, Kim Bocamper, Nolan Harrison, who was an opponent. So it's great to hear from an opponent, Bruce Smith, for example. But we need so much more, because Richmond, it's not he deserves it, he belongs as a Hall of Fame, and he has to make the final this year. And I dedicate my next 3 years to that. That's a promise that I did to Richmond, and I always go 100% of what I promise. But alone, we can't do it. We need everyone. With the story you share, I mean, I even more fire up, because he is a great player. He's a great human being, a great father, a great husband, a great friend, because you tell us today he's a great friend, and he's a great person, because for all the fans, it's not usual that a legend going this. It's not usual a legend going friend to friend with, again, normal people, little people, like I like to say. So just to have a final great word. How do you describe? It's the final touch. How do you describe? If you have to describe Richmond in one word, what will it be? One word.
I would say Richmond is a very loving person. So I would say loving would be my word.
I really took it in a family perspective today. Thank you very much to share it, share everything. I don't want to take you all the day. Sometimes we have to remember that all the players are normal life. So every time they finish to play, they finish to practice, they need to go to their home and spend time with their family. So they maybe don't have time for a photo, for a picture, for an autograph. It's not because they don't care about you. It's because maybe they have something to do after this. So this is something I understand it today, and I hope everyone will understand. Chandra, I give you the final word for everyone who will watching us, listeners.
Well, I just want to tell y'all again, thank you so much for what you're doing for him. And we really appreciate it. And I don't know what else I could say. I think based on everything he did professionally, like you said, he deserves a spot in the Hall of Fame. And so I just praying that the Lord will move on their hearts to say yes and give him a vote to get into the Hall of Fame.
Let's give him a vote. That's the final word. Thank you, Chandra. Have a
Thank
great day.
you.
And to everyone, don't forget to subscribe. Put a like if you like. Put a comment for Chandra and for anything. Be respectful. And hey, it's great to be alive. And we're looking for better days for Richmond to the Hall of Fame. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Et salut à tous, bienvenue dans le Huddle. Aujourd'hui, on a un épisode assez spécial, c'est le State of the Franchise. Et aujourd'hui, on va parler des Miami Dolphins, mais on va le faire avec un invité assez spécial, Richmond Webb. C'est une légende des Miami Dolphins. Donc, on va maintenant partir en anglais. Il y aura des sous-titres en bas. Et on va voir un petit peu son opinion par rapport aux Dolphins. Hey, Richmond, how are you?
Good. How you doing, Daniel?
I'm doing very fine. And I was just explaining to the French people that we will talk today about the Miami Dolphins and the season so far. So are you ready for that?
I'm ready. Yeah, I'm ready. Yes. Let's go. Let's do it.
Remember, we have a little challenge at the end. You have to say a word in French. Huh? So we didn't prepare that. I take you in behind, but don't worry. I'm pretty sure you learn a French word. So, hey, Richmond, this season is kind of crazy because we have 2 hours from for 4 weeks, so the season hasn't come the way I think everyone was expected. But what are your thoughts on the Miami Dolphins so far and the way they go through adversity?
Yeah, I think you described it perfectly. First thing is, we start out won the first game, and then we go through a little adversity. Tua gets hurt, and then they make a decision to put him on IR for 4 weeks. So we lose our quarterback, and then we go through a couple of quarterbacks along the process. We guys getting hurt, and then we come back, and then Tua comes back, and then we lose 2 close games. I think it was Tennessee and Arizona Cardinals that were probably games that possibly could have won. But last 2 weeks we've bounced back and kind of hitting the rhythm, and it wasn't what everybody wanted or projected, but I think we're eventually on the right path now. It's not going to be an easy process to finish out the season strong, but we're capable of doing it. It's just everything has to kind of fall in place, and we just don't have a room for a huge margin of error because we lost so many games in the first half. But I like what we're doing so far the last few games. We just got to continue to build on that.
Yeah, we saw that especially against the Bills, the team was very close to win the game in Buffalo. So it was kind of those games that give you confidence for the rest of the season. But what are for you the major change happened when Tua was back, and we saw the offense going very better, different from last year, to be honest. But they play different. What do you think about that, Richmond?
Yeah, the biggest difference I noticed when Tua got hurt, it seemed like we went to more of a balanced attack. We were more dedicated to running the football, and like last year, it was Tyreek, and Jalen Waddle. I mean, probably two of the best receivers in the NFL right now. But they were, Tyreek had almost 2,000 yards last year. So two explosive, quick hitting, long plays. It didn't take our offense. We would score real quick, so it didn't take us long to score a touchdown, stuff like that. Very exciting for the fan base and for the NFL, because we were on the talk of all the sports shows. A lot of analysts were projecting us to go in the playoffs and really do good, and we kind of faltered toward the end. And I think this year, when Tua got hurt, we dedicated more to the run. Moser, Wright, and Achane running those running backs, and then you saw the evolution of our tight end, Jonnu Smith, that he's really had some really good games, and even before Tua came back, and that's continued. And I think the biggest thing or question in my mind was, once Tua came back, would they continue to run the ball to have a more balanced attack? And they have, and I think it's good for Tua. I think it's good for the offense. I think it's actually good. Tyreek and Jalen Waddle probably don't get as many targets or whatever like that, but with spreading the ball out and a balanced run and pass attack, the time of possession has probably went up dramatically, which is good for our defense to keep them fresh. You spread the ball around, it makes it harder to try to figure out, do I stop Tyreek? Do I stop Waddle, Smith? We have so many more weapons, and so I think it makes it harder to defend us, and I think that's why our time of possession has went up as far as, maintaining control of the football, and that's going to pay off dividends, especially in the second half of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know that Mike McDaniel is a genius to draw playbook and route for the wide receiver, and we saw it last game when Jonnu Smith was alone. No one was covering him, and you saw the design. He put Mostert on wide receiver position, and he disrupt the defense. They don't know who to defend, the cover, and they did a double cover to Tyreek Hill, and at the end it was Jonnu Smith the target. So it's brilliant, and I think by spreading the ball more to multiple target allowed maybe to play that speed in a better way than just drag or slant that the way we did last season. So yeah, by running the ball, we give a better view for Tua to spread the ball. But the biggest difference for me, one of the biggest difference, is the offensive line that is playing a key role in that evolution, because I know you notice the work that they are doing in the zone block is amazing. I mean, you really see the work now, and they really did a great job to open hole for the run and give it the perfect time to throw the ball.
Yeah, shout out again to offensive line, and they've had to take a bigger role, and it takes a little bit more to run the football. And I know we lost Austin Jackson. They put him on injured reserve. Hopefully we get him back before the end of the season. But when you have Austin Jackson and Teron Armstead, you look at a guy like Teron Armstead, been in the league 13, 14 years, playing at a high level, he's one of the best tackles in the game right now, left tackle. And you get that type of leadership to where when you get in tough situations, the offensive line group probably looks to him because he's been battle tested and he's played at a high level for such a long time. when you have core guys, you got to have guys like that on the offense and defense. And on defense, like Calais Campbell is probably that guy, older veteran, but he's been battle tested. And when going gets tough, those are guys you look to, and then they take on more of a leadership role. So Teron Armstead has been invaluable, and not only for the offensive line, but for, to his ways. And that, it makes a difference when he's not out there on the field. And then, Tyreek is a leader. So it just, when you throw guys in the huddle that guys feed off of, it just makes everything better. But the offensive line has been able to run the ball, and not just outside tackles, but in between the tackles. And so it makes it harder to where they're not just using motion or moving or whatever to always get guys. These guys are coming off the football, positioning, creating lanes, creating holes where the running back can hit it. Like I say, Achane, Moser, Wright, all three of them, they all run the football well, but they do different things. All of them are fast, but they have a little bit different running style. So that makes it tougher, because depending on who's in the game, it gives the defense something else to think about. And when all three of them can run inside and outside, that's even more of a bonus. So it's giving a defensive coordinator more of a headache, because now he has a lot more to try to come up with to say, okay, if they run on this play, how do I stop it? If they throw on this play, how do I stop it? So it just makes it a harder offense to try to defend and stop. And I think people are seeing that we don't score as quick, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. The main thing I love is we're controlling the football.
Absolutely. You said everything about the offense. You're not a legend for nothing. You know your business. But let's have a few words. Let's have a few words for the defense, because in my mind, in the first part of the season, the defense was not that bad. The only thing, they were on the field too much time, so they get exhausting by third, fourth quarter. So again, it was about time possession. Sorry, but I think this defense with Calais Campbell, you said it, and this guy is amazing. He's a legend. He's arguably one of the best interior defensive line on the NFL. But this defense was a question mark at first in the season, and now I feel comfortable. It's not one of the best defense of the league, but I think they can do the job to just give the score, not score too much points, which is good for an offense who will score 20, 25 points. So what are your thoughts on defense too?
Yeah. Calais Campbell, Seiler, those guys on defense, Agba, those guys running in. You got Jalen Ramsey in the secondary, and I'm having a blank.
On the linebacker position, safety, Poyer and Holland.
Holland, that's my man there. But I think everything is coming together for them, and I'm so excited for Chop Robinson. I see the way he's been working, rushing the passer, and now those pressures are starting to turn into sacks. And then, we lost Jalen Phillips early in the season again after he busted his tail to work to get back this season. He'll be back. And then Chubb should, I don't know, hopefully we get him back. And that just gives another linebacker you can go into rotation. And like you said, it was new defensive coordinator, all that. But I think it's starting to gel. I think they will continue to get better. I've seen Cam Smith getting some reps in there due to injuries and stuff like that. So they're leaning on each other. That's what I like about it. And, it's nobody pointing fingers at anything, but you can see the defense coming together. You can see the offense coming together. And it seems they're actually having fun. I think when they went through that streak of losing those football games or whatever, that's tough, not physically, but mentally, because now you got to try to put that one out your mind, get ready for the next game, but then you end up losing that one. And, like we said previously, losing a couple of close games like the Cardinals game, even that Buffalo game, those were winnable football games, and to kind of let them go at the end, you let it go, but it's tough. And then sometimes you look back and say, man, if we would have just did that, it would have been better. But what I like to see, what I'm seeing now is they're back to having fun. They're playing, and I can tell their confidence level has risen tremendously, and they're playing good football right now. So I'm excited about the rest of the season.
Yeah, talking about the rest of the season. So we don't have so many window to losing game. I think one lose, and after that, so we can have seven lost, but this is it almost. So we played against the Patriots this weekend, and after that we go to Lambeau Field against the Packers. Those two games. I mean, I think when we talk about 1 week at a time, moving the chain, it's really the reality here. We just have to win 1 week at a time and don't try to put too much expectation, because one lost, and after that we have to win almost every game.
Yeah. And I think you're right, Daniel. You focus on next game. If you start trying to say, well, we got Jordan Love and the Packers, let next week take the next week. This week we got, like you said, New England, and that's a division game. They hadn't had the greatest season, but anytime you play a division opponent, they're going to come in and they're going to try to beat you, this and that. And so I think the guys understand that. And I think it's one game at a time. Just make it a one-game season versus trying to say, okay, we got to win the next 5 out of 6. Just take it one game at a time, and to chill on where they may. But I think the confidence level has risen, and we just got to keep steering the ship the way it's going. And as long as we take them one game at a time, we should be focused on New England. And then after New England, we go to, is it Thanksgiving Day or the day after Thanksgiving? Yeah. We play Green Bay. So yeah. So and they got a good football team. So it's just a test. But go up, you already know, the fan base. We'll have some Dolphin fans there, but majority is going to be Packers and the cheeseheads, and they're going to be doing their little stuff for the Packers and stuff like that. So go up there and operate our offense, defense, and try to come out with a win. But this week it's New England, and that's what we should be focused on. So I think that's what it is. That game is at home again, so that'll be good to play at home. Short week, and then we go to Green Bay, play there, and then hopefully we knock that one out. And like I said, we just keep going. And I think as long as they can stay focused on that and not try to do a collective of games and say, okay, try to figure out we win this one, win. No, just 1 week at a time, and I think we'll be good.
So you're a legend. We have to listen to you. Focus on the New England game. New England game. I don't want you to be mad. We want to welcome you in France. So we listen to you. Don't worry. No. To be serious, I think it's a great mindset. 1 week at a time. So New England Patriots. Of course, we have to win it, and it's not winnable before the game. It's during the game. Right. So we have to play that game. So the thing I understand, or what you say, it's your confidence for this team is going better each and every week.
And if you don't believe, nobody else is gonna believe, and that's always been my mindset. But you got to do the things in preparation, the things in practice, eliminate the mental mistakes, unnecessary penalties. Those little things sometimes can determine who wins a game and who loses a game. And that was something that was drilled in my head from the time I got there with Don Shula. He would stick on the little bitty things, because a lot of times a lot of football games are 3 points or less. So a lot of times if I'm jumping outside or getting a bunch of holding penalties, that's going to slow down or deter the offense or put us in harder situations to continue to move the chain to make down. So as long as we do that and play smart football, I like our chances.
Amen. So last thing, we have to talk about a huge announcement who has been made yesterday. You reached the semifinal for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2025 for the first time in 17 years of eligibility. So first of all, congratulations, Richmond. You truly deserve it. And we saw your message on social media. So, So I know, and you know how you feel. You know better how you feel than I know better how you feel. But we all know, we all imagine how you feel in that time. And before you say a few words, I just want to shout out my group for the your campaign that we create. So Dolph Freaky, 305 Sports Sports Babe, Lisa Fanatic, fan of the year 2024 of the Miami Dolphins, Reason, your partner on podcast, Bob, Miss Fins.
Yeah.
The list is going very long, so I guess I didn't forget
Dolph
anybody,
Freaky?
but Dolph Freaky, I said it first. I said it first, but I say it again. Dolph Freaky, I know you are her bodyguard, so I don't want you to be mad. Be careful.
You gave me a little security job.
I say it first.
You gave me a little security job. I work with her husband doing security at East 12 every now and then, so they give me a little side hustle money when I come to South Florida. So yeah, she always look out for me. But yeah, the group you named, and just the fans, how they embraced the vision that you guys, the campaign that you all put together, retweeting, posting on social media, buying the shirts, the posters in the stands at the game, and just everybody showing me love and retweeting. And what I really loved about it, I think the approach how it was with, it wasn't nothing negative. You know what I'm saying? When they tagged the Pro Football Hall of Fame in there, it wasn't, it was all positive comments, this and that. And then I think the thing that surprised me was it was people from other fan bases, like Randy from the Denver Broncos. Ron.
It's through a campaign from Randy Gradishaw. That's why you.
Okay, it was okay. So Ron, yeah, I'm sorry, Ron. You know you're my man, but when you see fans from other fan base, and I know he's a diehard Broncos fan, but to mention me or to try to help the cause to somebody can respect what you get on the field versus. We all play for the NFL. It's different franchises, but when you can respect what a player did while he was out there on the field and help promote him, I think that's huge. Another guy, one of my teammates is, Willie Anderson. He's just, I played with him at the Bengals, but every opportunity he gets, he promotes me and saying, deserving to go in the Hall of Fame, and he's deserving. He's made the semifinals. He's made before me, and he's on it again. So, man, I'm just so grateful for, not only Dolphin fans, but just NFL fans and people that support the cause and can respect the way I played the game and how I played the game and contributed to the game. So first time making the semifinals, it's a feeling that was a little bit overwhelming. I'm glad I got the video done and posted that, when people appreciate you, it doesn't do nothing but humble you if just the way it is, and I really appreciate it. And it was a really good day yesterday, and today is another good day. So I'm just happy and looking forward to the game this weekend.
I can't imagine how many notifications you had on social media. I hope your phone hasn't burned.
I know I couldn't keep up, and I think people was more of just saying, "Hey, congratulations." I don't think everybody was looking for me to respond. I tried to respond to so many of them, but I ran some errands with the wife yesterday, and I came back and I was scrolling through Twitter, and I was just like, "My goodness, I don't know." I said, "I'm sure I missed some people," but it was that type of love, and when people appreciate you, it just puts a warm feeling down inside. So I appreciate everyone. Like I said, the committee, Daniel, the campaign that y'all put together, because I didn't understand the process, but it's truly been a blessing. And not only me, but my wife and my kids, they were all happy for me. So when you can celebrate with other people that love you, this and that, it just makes it that much more special.
Yeah, let's go to the final now. And I have to have some words from some historians. So you mentioned Ron. Ron is a fantastic person. He helped a lot. You have Kirk from Not in the Hall of Fame group, and you have historians like Jack Silverstone, Canton Paul, Ken Crippen, and John Turney, who help us a lot. So thanks to them. They are not Dolphins fan, by the way. And Ken Crippen,
at all.
he's a Bills fan.
I've actually, I've done, I think, a couple of reviews with Not in the Hall of Fame, and maybe I did, one of them did an article. I'm getting confused now, but you're right. All those guys, I've interacted with them on Twitter, and it's been all positive, and it was even before campaign had started. So to see, like I said, when you see people jump on board just not Dolphin fans and support you, that just makes it even.
Hey, great. Hey, we have time to talk about next step another time. So thank you for the state of the franchise of the Miami Dolphins in mid-season. I appreciate you. You have a nickname that I don't want to mention on
You found out a
YouTube.
nickname? I got a bunch of them. Come on with it. What you got for me?
You know how I name you in private conversation. So I don't want to use that name on YouTube. It's
that name. Okay, yeah. I thought you talking about from one of my teammates or something. I got a bunch of nicknames, bro. I'm telling you,
it's more family name. You remember, it's more family name. So I know you call me my nephew, so I call you my uncle. So that hey, have a blessed day, and let's have a great end of the season for the Miami Dolphins. Let's go to the playoff for the 5th or 4th straight time. It would be great to keep the momentum of this franchise. And let's talk at the end of the season, Richmond.
It sounds good. I look forward to it. Thanks again, Daniel, for having me on your show. I appreciate it, and all my French family, I appreciate y'all too. Love y'all.
And you did the mistake because I forgot, but you mentioned French, so you have to finish the show with a French word.
Parlez-vous français? Come on, will that work?
That's
oui, monsieur. Yeah.
No, just we. You don't have to say oui. You don't say yes in English. Yeah, just one time. We are normal people in French. You just say oui. It's yes.
Then I got that from a cartoon or something. That must be what it was.
Yeah. I know where it comes from. Hey, see you, man.
All right.
Have a good day. Au revoir tout le monde.
All right.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dan. Welcome to the Huddle French-speaking podcast. And today I am with someone I'm sure in Miami no one knows. No, I'm kidding. Everyone knows. Travis Wingfield. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm so glad we got a chance to finally link up and do this. Seth from the Fish Tank, put us onto each other, and I'm really glad that this Dolphins community that can be, South Florida or globally expanded is nice to see Dolphins fans all over the world. I'm pumped to talk to you today, Dan.
I will say the Miami World Dolphin. That's the case. We are international now. So thank you to Seth to challenge you, by the way. And because you guys are awesome, you say yes, and you are there today to do your journey, because the name of the show is The Journey. So we will speak about your journey. And first question is the most easiest one. How do you start following football? How
Yeah,
did this story start?
Yeah, the very beginning of the origin story. So, I mean, it's funny because when I grew up, I played basketball and baseball all the way through junior college, and football was I played for 3 years as like from like 10 to like 13, and then I never played football again. But as I got older, football became my passion to follow as a fan and really study and get to know the game from the nuances of the game and everything. So my love of football began, I mean, as soon as I could walk, I was into sports. So it really picked up when I was probably, 4 or 5 years old. But as I got older into junior high, into high school, and then once I graduated high school and was, no longer playing sports, or after, a couple of not so good bouts in junior college of sports, I was no longer playing sports, and my interest in sports was even higher than it was before. And so I really sunk myself into football. But I would say I mean, my first real memory, and this is going to be the microcosm of being a Dolphins fan. My first memory as a Dolphins fan is a sad one, of course. It was the 94 playoffs when Pete Stoyanovich missed the field goal against the Chargers to lose that playoff game. So I would have been 7 years old when that kick happened. So yeah, it's since I was very young.
It was yesterday.
Yeah, that's right. That's 30 years ago too, thinking about it. Man, I'm getting old.
Don't say that.
Jeez, man.
And you talk about your relation with the Miami Dolphins, but maybe in your young age you were maybe not Dolphins fans, or you start with the Dolphins since the beginning.
Yeah, so early on, I was a fan of players. I would collect jerseys every Christmas or birthday. All I wanted was football jerseys. I had a Ricky Williams Saints jersey when I was growing up. I grew up in the Seattle area, in Washington State, I should say. So I had like the Sean Springs and Sean Alexander jerseys that supported those guys a little bit. But I also had a Dan Marino jersey, and I'll never forget. In the 4th grade, we played intramural flag football at lunchtime and lunch and recess, and I wore my Dan Marino jersey for game days. I think that's probably where it kind of took off, was wearing that 13 jersey. And then I had the big poofy, aqua orange starter jacket that every kid had back in the 90s. And the more the older I got and the more I became focused on one team, it became the Dolphins for me. They were always on Monday Night Football back then. They were a really good team. The Seahawks were not. So that was a big selling point for a young Travis at that point. But I would say probably around like 9 or 10 was when the Dolphins became like, that's my team and I'm not going back.
Yeah, for sure. Especially now.
Yeah. That bridge is long gone by this point.
And what do you like the most about football in that time? Because I know now you do analysis. We'll talk about that later. Don't worry. But what took your attention of the game?
Yeah, I think it was kind of the romanticism of the game, like in terms of what it looked like in January and those big playoff games. And this was back when, running backs were kind of the stars of the league. And you had these big running backs with the big shoulder pads, and they were, 3 yards in a cloud of dust and just running through piles. And, the Dolphins had obviously a bunch of great backs in the 70s. And then Ricky Williams came onto the scene in 2002. And that was like, oh, this guy is special, huh? He can run around you. He can run through you. And so it was kind of just the allure of like, a cold wintry day, the snow falling on up in Orchard Park, and the Dolphins going up there trying to win a game, or a playoff game where Eddie George is trying to, run through tackles. Something about that era of the physical nature and the big hits and the low scoring games. That was what really attracted me to the game at first. And it's obviously evolved since then. But I would say those power running backs in inclement weather late in the year around Christmas time, like it's just the perfect combination of like everything that you love in life coming together at that point in the calendar.
Yeah, so you start at the right edge, sorry, because it was the time of the running back in that time in 70s. They're running the ball maybe 80% of the time, and with Ricky Williams, the first year with Dan Wanstead, it was one of those years that you remember forever. He break records, and we run Ricky run. He
That's
was
right.
not
You're
for
telling
nothing.
me.
But
My first Dolphins game was in 2003. They played the Eagles on a Monday night, and they had to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. And we came down here for a family vacation, basically for me, to watch the Dolphins. But we went to like Disney World and all that stuff too. And I had a Run Ricky Run sign. So my first game as a Dolphins fan brought the Run Ricky Run sign to the game with me.
so you start the thing.
Yeah, I was copying people, but you know, from this point forward, I guess, yeah, maybe a little bit.
So running back was your favorite spot on the field, or you have others that you love watching? You talk about Sean Springs was a cornerback, right?
Yeah. Sean Springs was a cornerback, a Seahawks first round pick out of Ohio State. It's crazy that I know all this stuff still. But Sean Alexander was the
Professional.
Seahawks back for a while there. Yeah, right. From Alabama. And just man, like the Priest Holmes era. I think where it came from, Dan, was the fact that you know, when I played Little League football, it was called Grid Kids back there, or back in the state of Washington, was that you ran the ball every single play. So the best player on the team was the running back. And so that's where like, oh, the running back is, you know, it's the best athlete. It's like a kid that is a pitcher and shortstop in baseball, you know, like it's the best athlete on the team plays that position. So of course he's the best player in the field. So that's kind of where that comes from, I think.
Okay, well, so the next question is complicated when you're a Dolphins fan, but what is your favorite memories or worst memories you have as a fan? We still be in your fan time, because now it changed, but since a few years. But what is your best and worst memories?
The best is obvious for me. Well, it's hard. I'll probably give you two. The AFC East clinching game at the Meadowlands back in 2008 was very special to me. I was going through some personal stuff at the time, and just getting that, you know, surprise season to win the division when you weren't supposed to, coming off a one win season the year before, and like I mentioned, hadn't experienced really anything successful for the you know, in terms of making the playoffs in the last like 6 or 7 years at that point. So at that time, that was really important to me. But spin it forward to 2018. I was at the Miami Miracle game, covering the game with a fan like credential. The Dolphins ran this promotion like where fan sites could come and come for the weekend and cover a game and get locker room access. And I had it that day. And it was just such a special day because, like, you know, obviously they stole victory from the jaws of defeat, and it was, the press box was going crazy and the locker room was crazy. It just was a wild scene to be a part of. So that's probably the top one above the Jets game, just because of the personal like connection of me being here. Now the worst one, man, that is there's so many options. That's a tough question. I'm probably going to go with some recency bias and say last year. And this is probably has more to do with like the profession of it. So Seth and OJ and I do post-game radio, and after wins, it's a party. We're out in the middle of the stadium, or on the outside of the stadium, I should say, in the middle of where all the fans congregate after the game, and it's a party, and we're all having a good time. But when they lose, it's the converse of that. And last year, the somber mood around that Titans loss and the fans that were coming up. We have this one guy that listens to every show we do, and he was like just beside himself, smoking his stogie that he always has post game, just like looking up to the sky, wondering what had happened in that game. That I still carry that feeling with me today. But the feeling that probably is stronger than that, even though like I was kind of expecting it because we don't ever beat Buffalo, was the Week 18 loss to the Bills, when like there were so many Bills fans in the stadium that night, and to watch them celebrate and to have a good time and steal a division that we had, you know, in the bag 5 weeks earlier. That was, you know, and it's 1:00 in the morning doing the show, and you're tired and you want to go home. Golly, that was a tough night to come back from. So those two nights combined, and you know, within a 5-week span, was pretty brutal.
Yeah, those two memories are very in my mind, because for your information, for the Miami Miracle, I turned off the TV.
Yeah,
So
I don't blame you.
I saw the play on social media, and I was like,
Wow,
I just missed one of the greatest play ever, just because I
amazing.
turned off. I mean, okay, my bad. And the second one, you know, for watching the Monday Night Football for the Titans, we have to wake up at 2 a.m. and we
Oh,
watch until 5 a.m. So normally I don't do that because I have kids, you know, stuff like that. So I say to my wife, this one is very important. I have to watch it. And I was cool that we were winning that game. So I say, okay. So my wife wake up at 6. She saw me and she said, "Oh, I hope they win." And I was like, absolutely not. I'm still wondering why I stay wake up that much.
I lost
So,
sleep and a playoff position. Oh no.
and they lost in the final minute. So please don't talk to me about that later, ever. And you say, okay, but you still have to go with the kids and drive them to school. And I was like, oh man, why they don't win? So
What a rough day. That's a good one. That beats mine, I think. That's pretty good.
And before we going into your now professional activities, how do you connect as a fan, become a writer? You host the podcast of Drive Time Podcast, and you're member of the Miami Dolphins Network podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how do you transition, because you were a fan and you become a member of the Miami Dolphins organization, if I'm correct?
Yep. Yeah. So yeah, I work for the Dolphins I'm here in the podcast studio right now, doing the show with you from the studio. And going back to like the early obsession with the Dolphins, and I also became obsessed with column writing articles. In fact, my friends and I had a backyard football league, and we did the whole thing where we had a fake website that had the stats on it and the standings, and we would like film the games and have challenge replays. And on the website, we would write game recaps, and that was my job. And so I'd write like the Josh Meyer threw for 6 touchdown passes as the Buccaneers, whatever the case was. And so that love for writing kind of matched up my love for the game. And I'll never forget going back to Ricky Williams. My first byline was, "Are 2 running backs better than 1?" It was taking a look at the Ronnie Brown, Ricky Williams era for the Miami Dolphins. And that came from being on message boards for years. This is before social media and Twitter, where we would communicate as Dolphins fans on a website called FinHeaven, and then eventually became thefins.com. And that was like where I met, Simon Clancy, who I'm sure you're familiar with his work from 3 yards per carry. Chris Kaufman was on there, Alfredo Artiega, tons of people that are really smart, passionate Dolphins fans were on there. And I learned how to kind of write, to be honest with you, on that message board, like how to formulate proper sentence structure and make an argument and be persuasive. And that just carried over onto multiple fan sites until one day you talk about tough times as a Dolphins fan. 2015 was the first year where I like kind of checked out, kind of like you with the Miracle Game. I was like, I'm not watching this anymore, because I had just met, at the time, it's my wife now, but as my girlfriend, I just met her at the end of that 2015 season. And I knew going into the year that it wasn't going to work with Joe Philbin. I was like, what are we doing here? They start off 1-3, they fire Philbin, and then the 2 Dan Campbell games, like, oh, cool, we won a couple of games, we're back in it, and then they went back to what they were. And I was like, I'm not going to watch this. I've been through the rebuilds, I've been through all the stuff, and Tannehill might be like, I just don't want to do it anymore. So I checked out from the 2015 season, and then right before the 2016 season, I got a message from Sam Marcoux, who runs the Perfectville podcast with Chris Colin. And they to me were like the original Dolphins podcasters. They had that show cranking out back in like 2015. And Sam was like, do you want to write for the website? Because we want to do like a commentary as well. I'm like, sure, I'll do that. And like the way it all just came flooding back into me, like the love and the passion for it, with having, something to do additionally besides just being a fan and watching the games, like it hooked me. And ever since that year, I've been working for the Dolphins, like on Dolphins content. Like I haven't just watched the Dolphins game since 2015, really. And so he put me on to the website. I got so invested in the podcast. I was like, I can do the podcast, so why don't I start my own show? They were willing to have me on their airwaves as like a sister podcast. I had Kevin Dern was my co-host of that podcast. It was called the Finalysis Podcast. We were terrible. We didn't have any real direction. The production was awful. We didn't really know what we were doing. We were just talking, like trying to talk shop, but it got me those reps. And then eventually David Locke from the Locked On Sports Network reached out, because I had put on Twitter, like, I'm looking for a new podcast. Like, I'm going to start a new podcast. And he's like, don't start a new podcast. Just come do Locked On Dolphins. And I looked into them, and they were just getting off the ground. And because of that insane passion, and, I was doing the show every single day and writing articles every day and putting videos on Twitter and just spamming everybody. Here's my Dolphins content. Come read me, because I think that my voice is really important for some reason. And it just caught fire, and it got really popular. And from there, the great late Jason Jenkins, who worked here for the Dolphins for a long time, passed away in 2022. He caught wind of my content, And basically over the course of those fan site games I'd come down and cover, we would kind of like, catch up, and he would be like, what are you thinking? And one day I was like, you know what? I think you guys could pivot to more of a like modern style approach to media with podcast and video and YouTube and all this stuff. And he really liked that idea. And over the course of a couple of, years, I guess, it kind of came to be like the Drive Time podcast and me being on the face of the YouTube channel and whatnot. So it went from like being all the way out in 2015 to slowly building that passion back up to 2020, getting a job with the Miami Dolphins. So a 5-year run that I never could have predicted, but I'm so happy to be where I am now.
This is how you build your story. It's always have a journey. That's what
Exactly
we're
right.
talking about. And I want to play tribute to Jason Jenkins because I talked with Hugo Manero in Spain who had a podcast, and he said to me a lot of good words to him. So I want to play tribute to him. So now we don't have to explain who is Travis Wingfield in football, and especially in Miami. And you talk at first that you were focused on player. That's what you like, player. And now you're doing breakdown, and you bring players to talk about. So now I understand when I see your eyes that you work, but you're just enjoying what you're doing, right? It's a dream come true at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And you'll kind of catch me sometimes, whether it's a press conference or like when we had McDaniel for the first piece of content he did was with me on Drive Time back in our studios over here, or having Chris Greer on. Like sometimes I can't help myself, and I'll ask my fan question or like kind of get a little bit over my skis with how I approach it. And to your point, like, yeah, that Titans game stunk, right? It stunk to sit out there. And the primetime games, you're up till 5:00 in the morning. For me, it's like I get to bed like around 3:00 after all the content gets done. And after a tough loss and then waking up on a short night of sleep it's tough, but like gain perspective, right, Travis? Cause like you're doing this where before you got here, you were working at a staffing agency doing, writing BS emails, or, I was doing water and fire restoration for a company that had no future in. So like the perspective that I've gained from, years of hard work and doing real jobs allows you to appreciate that this isn't really a job. You're just kind of like, you're having fun and you get paid for it.
Absolutely. And Seth told me that the Drive Time podcast is the best podcast on internet, especially in the Miami Dolphins community. If you have to present that show on a few words, how can you describe anything you're doing? Because I love, by the way, what you're doing. I'm a big fan. And if I'm now here, it's because I always said that you said it's because of Seth, and especially because of you too, because you guys show us that as a fan, as a normal person, we can create content and speak to anybody about what we love. So if you have to talk about the Draft Time podcast, to the French community, what you have to say about that?
Sure. Yeah. No, I like the setup because, and the thing that has been the hardest for me to adjust to in this role compared to Locked On Dolphins was the perception that because of my role, I can't be honest. I don't have a fair critique of the negative things that happen for the team. And I'm just a mouthpiece, fanboy home, whatever you want to call it. That bothers me to my core, because when you do hear my content, I don't approach it that way. I am honest, almost to a fault sometimes. And I feel like for a fan looking for a podcast of their team, I don't know how you feel about this, Dan, but to me, when there's no emotional investment into the team, it's a lot different. And I like a lot of national podcasts that cover the entire league. And I always find myself being like, you guys don't really know the Dolphins because this is not accurate when you talk about them. But that I get. But when you're covering the Dolphins, if it's just a team that you're on the beat because you have a job covering them, I don't feel that same connection to that person because they aren't going through the same things the fans going through with all the emotions and the highs and lows. And that's the beauty of this game, right? Like I watched the Browns and Broncos game last night on Monday, talking to you here on Tuesday. And that was a big game for the Dolphins in playoff seeding purposes. And the Browns, like when the Browns had that go-ahead touchdown, I was like clapping, and it was fun and it was enjoyable because that's the passion that you love. And the downside of that is when they lose that game, you feel the same way in the other direction. So I've always tried to bring that passion and that just genuine, I really care about this approach to the show on top of years and years. Like I told you, I really got into this game back in my teens. Like I've put a lot of time into learning this game and the nuances of it and what happens on film and talking to coaches and players and utilizing the resources I have here to get smarter about the game, to watching coaching clinics online and learning from the best in the world at how this game works, because it's a very complex game that if you don't put that time in, and that's fine if you don't, but you're not going to know the ins and outs of what happens on a given play. So I've really invested as a fan, the passion, and then the general knowledge of the game. And I think that the ultimate selling point I would say is that, I think a lot of like modern day content, whether it's television, streaming services, or football beat writers, like I feel like what their content comes from is an algorithm that tells them what their fans want to hear. But I've never taken that approach. I've always this is what me, a lifelong diehard fan that loves this game and team, wants to hear. So I'm going to cover it from that perspective. And that's carried me the whole time. People always ask me, like, how do you come up with a show every single day? It's because like, that's all I think about is Dolphins football. So when I'm driving and I'm like, hey, I give my phone to my wife, like, write this note down. I have a podcast segment idea. It consumes me. And so that's why I think it is, to me, the best podcast for Dolphins fans, because it's for Dolphins fans by a Dolphins fan who has put the time in to learn this game, to learn this team. I have a deep institutional knowledge of this team going back to the 90s. I know it's not the deepest, but it's pretty far back as far as being almost 40 years old is concerned. So I just think it's a comprehensive balance of fun, witty, knowledgeable, and then I also throw my personality into the show quite a lot, which is pretty off the wall. I don't take myself too seriously. So if you want to have a good time, if you want to learn about the Dolphins, then Drive Time is the place for you.
Absolutely. And the passion and the hard work, because behind the scene, we don't see that, but they have hard work to learn anything. And of course, you will not trash the Miami Dolphins. You work for them. I mean, people have to be aware, but to have a truth and honest opinion on anything, and trying to go deep inside what the Miami Dolphins is built, how they play, how they will prepare the game. I think it's important. And the beauty with the Miami Dolphins is there is a lot of content. I mean, I don't know for the other community or other teams, but in Miami you have a lot of podcasts, different angles. So everyone in 7 days a week can find a way to have their Dolphins content they want. So they have place to anybody. But of course, I will say on Tuesday, listen also the fish tank with OJ and Seth and you. But talking about OJ and Seth, because you guys, I always feel that you guys are three like best friends going together and speak about the game after the post game. So what is to live the passion with Seth, another fan, because he was a fan before, and OJ, of course, one of the greatest legend, number 3 wide receiver. So in the history of the Miami Dolphins, period. I say that every day, not because he's speaking French, just because when I start in '96, I love the 81, number 81.
Yeah. I love every time I see OJ in here for content when they do his mic check, he counts it off in French. So he's very, very well versed, that man. He's very well traveled. And yeah, to your point, that's probably the most surreal part. Like I just texted him yesterday because it was his birthday. Like, happy birthday, bro. Like I'm saying that to OJ McDuffie, a guy that the last time the Dolphins won a playoff game, I'll never forget, talk about core memories. I was in the 6th grade watching it in my living room, jumping around the house as he had a huge 3rd down, one-handed catch conversion to extend that game tying drive. And I'm celebrating one of my favorite players in the league. And now he's one of my best friends in the entire world. We hang out. We talk trash to each other on text messages, and we do the post-game show. And to your point, it has become like 3 best friends. Like Seth and OJ are my 2 best friends I've made in South Florida. And, I think it comes across on the post-game show because we have bits that we do. We have a great time with our producer and our board operator who has, sound clips that he clips off for us, and we make fun of each other. And we all kind of have fallen into this character we become of ourselves. And we play into that, and it makes a lot of fun on the show. Wins or losses, my favorite thing about doing that show is it's kind of like a therapy session, getting after a game. discuss with those guys what went right, what went wrong. But yeah, I mean, to be able to pick up the phone and just like text OJ or talk to OJ, it's like he's such a man of the people, and he has so many people that come up to him after games, and he's so great to all of them. But to call him my friend, it's truly crazy, because like I said, he was a childhood hero of mine, and now he's one of my best friends.
And talking about Seth too, which is a great guy because he challenged you. He could not challenge you again. So I'm very thankful he did it. I'm my gratitude for him. And every time I ask him something on DM on social media, he always respond. So a few words for this great man too. He didn't catch a ball, but he catch a lot of football love from the Miami Dolphins community.
Yeah, and to your point about Seth, if you just as a human, if you need something, Seth is he'll probably hear this, so I hope I don't get him too emotional. But in a lot of ways, I view Seth as a kind of a father figure. He's not quite old enough to be my dad, but when I first got down here, it's close. I hope he sees that.
Oh yeah, I don't know where we would put that on.
I can't wait for him to see that. But when I first got down here, there was so much that I had to learn and kind of get used to with just how a team operates. And he was my go-to source for that, because he worked in the building, for so long. And whether it's, content that I want to get across the goal line that maybe I'm getting pushback on, or if it's just, advice with, how to approach a certain situation, he's always been my guy for that. To your point, he always responds and he's always available. So Seth he's just one of the best people I've ever met in terms of, how he treats others. He takes everybody, to this. It doesn't matter what level you can help him or can't help him. He'll give you the same level of respect back and help you if you have questions for him about advice or whatever it might be. Seth is salt of the earth. Great person.
Yeah, of course. And you were a fan. You become a professional with your work. That's what we learned today. You work hard to become a professional. Now you are a name that everyone knows, and you create a family with your two best friends today. And what is there a question that I didn't ask you today, and you would love to answer? Is there a question that you will answer?
I think you did a pretty good job of being comprehensive with it. I the more experience I get in this business and in this industry, the more I kind of, gather in terms of how it's seen from multiple perspectives. And the thing that I guess I would go back to is just the pushback I get from, like you mentioned, like, you can't trash the organization or say certain things. I've just always by nature been an optimistic person, because why follow this game that is a total hobby, outlet, escape from real life reality, which is, tough enough as it is, just to complain about it. I've never understood, fire this guy, replace this guy every single game. I'm going to live and die with every single snap and result. And my emotions are going to be too much to handle with every single result. Like, step back and have some perspective and realize this is a tough game. It's a sport that involves a lot of luck. And if it just makes you sad, then maybe it's not for you, because I just feel like there's so much negativity. And like, I know some fans like call out the coach and call out the GM and call out the quarterback and ask these tough questions. And it's like, for what? What are you trying to get out of this? So I just want to say that as much as, my content comes across as like raw sometimes, that's not the team doing that. It's me. It's just how I am. That's who I was with Locked On Dolphins. It's who I was with the Finalysis podcast. So enjoy it. It's a sport. It's supposed to be fun. It's not life and death.
So what a great question I should ask.
Well, you did touch on it. It's just, I've been dealing with that for 5 years. When the Dolphins put out their first, welcome Travis Wingfield for the drive time and Seth and OJ for the fish tank, we're going to officially have them on our channels here. Like, in the replies, there was guys that, that didn't like me. And that's comes with the business, that were like, oh, you're going to hire that guy because so I've been dealing with it for 5 years, but it still bothers me a little bit.
Don't worry. I receive message every day saying that I'm a French. I'm still talk about soccer and not football. So don't worry. There is always people who have to say something, and that's life. That's life. We have to all live together and with good and bad thing. But I think you did a pretty fair show today, and you really share your story and the thing. Like said, the thing I love regarding the Miami Dolphins, if you work hard, you could have a chance. So maybe you can inspire young people who are maybe in their teenage age and become the next Seth Levitt or the next Travis Wingfield. Be careful, guys. They're still there. They will not let down for very easy. But we have to prepare the next generation. And I think it's great. It's great to see that you can become someone important in the Miami Dolphins community and in the Miami Dolphins organization in terms of writing a podcast of the thing you do. And I think it's a great story. And the Miami Dolphins are maybe not the best team in the recent decades, I will say that in that way. But I really feel that there is a really good person in the Miami Dolphins community, in the Miami Dolphins organization. They give the chance to people if they prove that they are good and working hard. And I think it's great. So I'm proud to be a Miami Dolphins fan. And by the way, when my wife asked me when we were girlfriend, boyfriend, are you loyal? I say, you kidding me? I'm a Dolphins fan since the 96. I could pick any other teams and I stay with the Miami Dolphins. You can be cool with that.
Absolutely. That's the ultimate sign of loyalty. I mean, there's a couple of fan bases that have had it maybe worse than the Dolphins the last couple of years, but yeah, we're right up there in terms of, wanting to see just a little bit of success once the calendar turns to January. We haven't got much of that. So yeah, loyalty comes with, it's synonymous with being a Dolphins fan. That's for sure.
For sure. Travis, thank you very much. You have a last challenge. You have to say a word in French. Do you know one?
Oui.
Okay. It's
One
the
more?
rule.
Yeah.
Voilà. You say oui. Okay, you will don't say je m'appelle OJ, but okay, I understand.
Shoot. I always reference the movie Inglourious Basterds with Brad Pitt. And I think it's a scene where he says Traglesa and he holds up the 3. Is that,
Yeah.
am I right? Or am I in the right language? I hope I am. I don't know. So
No,
Traglesa, no, 3 glasses. might be the
it's
wrong
in
language.
German. I guess
Yeah, that's what I thought it was
German.
German. Damn it. All right, cut that.
Don't worry. I will. Hey, Travis, thank you very much. It was an honor for me. We never know what can happen in life. We can have another conversation, maybe a wrap-up show with. Imagine. Listen, I give you a little challenge to you, Seth and OJ. What about making a wrap-up show, even if maybe it will be soon, of the Miami Dolphins season, all 4 together? What about that? Are you okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Let's do it when the year ends. That's a good idea.
yeah, end of the season when you guys will go to vacation. If you go to France, don't hesitate to ask me to be your guide. But Seth, OJ, Travis, I challenge you to do a wrap-up show here.
I'm in, and I don't want to speak for them, but I'm positive they'll be in too.
Okay, let's see if the 2 other French will say yes.
I promise they will.
Who's a positive comment to Travis Wingfield who take his time to talk with the French community? It's awesome. I guess we have to do more connection and create an international brand because soccer, tennis, basketball are in their selling. So American football can become one of the greatest sports in the world, which could be almost amazing. And for players, agents, think about that. Look at Messi and Ronaldo.
Right.
They have a pretty damn good life. So
yeah, you're not kidding.
international could be very good for business too. Travis, have a great day. Thank you very much. And put the positive comments to Travis. Bye, everyone. this is it. Let's go. What's up, Bobby? It's been a while, man. How are you?
I'm good, man. It's great to finally be here and get face to face. I know we've been talking about this forever. You know, we've been talking in general forever. You know, I've been a big supporter of what you're doing. We've been trying to make this work for a while. Schedules, kids, you know, those kind of things.
It's crazy. Yeah, we should have started doing that yesterday, but because of kids else, it's have been difficult. But we are there today, and yes, you have been very busy this year because you start your own show with your guys, and we will talk about the Dive Bar podcast. You forget your ad, but you're pretty sure you will put it after. Hey, this is a crazy season. Sadly, the season is still working, but the Dolphins are not there like sometimes, or I will say like usual, but we will talk about that. First of all, Bobby, what you can say for the French community, because, you know, football has become more and more international and we have to grow in every country, and France is one of them.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. I think it's sweet that y'all are trying to grow and get that going over there and get it firsthand, so you don't have to just watch it on TV and odd hours of the day. You'll have some normalcy with that. And Jack Del Rio, that's a household name. That's a big name. That's a guy that's been around that knows football. That's a pretty good land.
Yeah, of course, and we will talk about that later because, as you know, I have a big connection with the Paris Musketeers, especially it's not the CEO, but it's kind of the president of the Paris Musketeers. But I can say the CEO. But it's a high-selling guy is there, and we're talking and we're working a lot to try to promote that sport and the Paris Musketeers as much as we can, because the European Football League is not a big league, and we have to be honest with that. Even if it's a professional league, it's not at the level of the CFL and of course the NFL. But you know, everything takes its time. And day in, day out, year in, year out, these sports will grow in France and with the Paris Musketeers for sure. But let's start with what we love the most. I guess sometimes we hate the most. The Miami Dolphins, bro. kind of a crazy season, right?
Yeah. Very very Dolphin season. You know, we all the hype coming in. Tua gets hurt week 2, and man, it's just a fight after that. We struggle without having a real quarterback in the lineup, and Tua comes back. We win a few, we lose some big games. Tua gets hurt again, and y'all know the rest. I mean, we missed the playoffs. It's disappointing. We got so many assets and money and great players right now, and it should be the most exciting time ever to be a Dolphins fan, and we just can't see it all put together as a whole.
Yeah, it's crazy, but you know, it starts in the strangest way ever, with Tyreek Hill being arrested week 1 just before the game. It's almost set the tone for the season. I mean, because after that, nothing works the way we expect. What was that moment in Miami, by the way?
Yeah, so I was actually I was down for the game. I was with all the guys from the podcast and our wives, and we're actually headed to the game. We're all in, like, half of us in one truck, half of us in another truck. And Eric calls me from the truck behind us, and he goes, "Dude, they're arresting Tyreek outside the stadium right now." I was like, "What?" I thought he was messing with me. I was like, "Dude, you're not gonna mess up week 1 for me." He was like, "Dude, get on Twitter. They got him on the sidewalk." I was like, "What?" So I opened my phone, and sure enough, man, it was a mess. This is John's out there, Calais Campbell. I'm like, "What?" And I'm like stunned. But then I'm like, Tyreek's a troll. Like, maybe he's doing a skit. Like, I don't know. You never know a Tyreek. Maybe he's putting on a show. Like, I don't know. But no, man, it was real. And man, it really did for a minute there. It killed the energy. We were all like just riding in a quiet truck, and we were all excited. And then we get the news that, you know, he's been released. He's in the stadium. He's going to play. And we kind of get back going again. And then, man, the game itself was stressful too, because, like, we're getting beat by the Jaguars. And then fortunately we come back and win on a game-winning field goal. But yeah, just a strange day, very roller coaster ride of a day.
Yeah, it's the worst become after the game when we play on Saturday and Tua gets injured. Man, it's I mean, in week 2, we already know that it was a shitty season, right? I mean, what? And we lost those games that we should have won with Tua against, I mean, not playoff team, because that's how pass. We just win with non-playoff teams. But in that span where Tua were injured, we lost that game. So maybe that's why we don't go to the playoff if we just took as a math analysis. So yeah, it was crazy. How you guys handled that time? Because I mean, going in Miami, living there, going to the stadium, and knowing that you don't have a real quarterback. First of all, not a real quarterback, but a quarterback do not know the playbook, because Huntley was just coming, and you can learn a playbook like this in a 2 hours session. So I mean, I was like, man, this is the old-fashioned season. I've been following the Dolphins since '96, so I watch so great games, but I watch so worst seasons. You know, that kind of season, or week 4, we're not going anywhere that season.
Yeah, it's tough, but like for me, I'm optimistic. So like Sunday, I'll be cussing and like mad and being like the season's over. Monday, maybe a little bit, but I mean, dude, it seems like every week by the time Sunday gets back, I'm like, oh, we're gonna win. We got it. Another week with Tyler Huntley. Like we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it all together, and we lose again.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, I have a commitment with my wife. So during the football season, we have agreement that I can watch my games and have the family, and so I never drop off that, because if one season I say, oh, this team is shit, I will not watch this season, you can be sure that the next season it will be a new negotiation to watch football. So anytime, even if the Dolphins are the worst teams on the planet, I will watch them just to keep my agreement safe.
Got to keep your contract in place.
Yeah, you have to, like players, And talking about players, man, we will talk about the Drive Bar podcast, but man, you guys have the Players podcast. Probably the best Players podcast. I know you will not say a lot of things you have on the book, but I'm pretty sure you have some pretty good thing coming for sure.
Yeah, so like you said, I appreciate the compliment. We do have a Players podcast. I mean, I guess that's the unofficial title that we've been given, is the Dive Bar, the Players podcast. We got fortunate, man. We started out the gate, got 1, got 2. Next thing you know, we did about 20 in a row last off season, headed in a little bit into training camp. I've started reaching out a little bit since the season ended, and it's looking good, man. This all season should be special, man. We should be able to do more than we did last year.
So this is already one of the best of season for the Miami Dolphins content, social media, YouTube, for sure. And I'm talking about that because it's that probably changed your perspective on how you watch the Dolphins, because now, and you was before, but now you in front of everybody and public, having connection with players, and of course, if you want to have them on your show, you will not being so rude with them when they are maybe not playing at the level we should want to.
Yeah, well, lucky for me, I never really was that kind of person. I don't really go, and maybe that's why I'm where I'm at now, because I've never really gone on Twitter to disrespect people. And, I can say that was a bad pass or you should have called that, but I never really go on Twitter and bash people and disrespect people and talk down to them, really. You can be critical of the game without being disrespectful to the human. And I've always lived by that. Some people like it, some people don't. But nonetheless, it's gained me a lot of relationships and firsthand relationships with a lot of players and people that other people can't get. So it's worked out for me. And yeah, it gets worse for sure when you have a podcast that's based off of these people giving you the time and, respecting you enough to come on your show. Yeah, you're definitely not out here saying wild stuff. Like you definitely, and also like on the other hand, we're supporting guys more than we did before because they came on the podcast, so like it goes both ways.
Yeah, and we our first thought goes to Tuas, because he has been, he has a really great mental. If we really, I'm not looking at the production or anything we can arguing during those games that must-win game against a big team, and some people are questioning Tua for that or Tua for getting injured. I will say that he's not getting injured in purpose, by the way. He never want to have concussion, for example. So we maybe should have been a little cool with that. I mean, that's life. I mean, people getting injured, and this is it. It's not because you're getting sick most of the time on your work that people will trash you for that. So we have to be respectful. But talking about Tua is receiving very lot. I mean, very lot. Communities, journalists, they all are very hard on him. But again, he get injured, he goes back, he played at a good level. I got a great level because we all forget the Buffalo Bills on-road game. We were that close to win that game. And he played a heck of a great game. Last drive, they score. He did a great drive. So let's put some light sometimes of good players we are, but for any reason, we're bashing them. And Tua is one of them, for sure.
Yeah, Tua gets a bad rap. I mean, he's polarizing, but he's not a polarizing person. But I think that's what makes him so polarizing, is because he is kind of like standoffish in some people's eyes. He doesn't really like talking to the media. He just likes like doing his job and going home to his family, and he doesn't really get involved in all the other stuff. And man, for whatever reason, it's made him quite the polarizing person. I think that the injury concerns are real now just because there's been so many. So like, that's a fair like argument. I think that he's a great player on the field. I think we're obviously our best team when he's out there. That's not debatable. That part, like you said, that's not debatable. Like, we need Tua out there to be the best we can be. But that's the frustrating part, is Tua has missed a lot of games, a lot of critical scenarios. So, he's got to do whatever he's got to do to protect himself and be the $200 million quarterback and be there for his team. So whatever that takes, like you said, you can't really be mad at somebody for freak stuff. I mean, injuries happen. They have piled up on Tua. He has a little more than the average guy, but he's got to figure out whatever it is that is going to keep him on the field, let him play 17 games, and put us in our best position to be in the playoffs. Team's too good not to be in the playoffs.
Yeah, of course it is. And he has a long-term contract now, so we know he will play at least 3 years more with the Dolphins. So we can every time saying against him, we want to have a new quarterback, but it will not happen for next season and the season after for sure, I guess. At least a team want to trade for him, but this is it. And it's like Geno Smith. I mean, Geno Smith was trash all time. He come to the Seahawks and look, he has a revamp career. So sometimes it's just matters of combination of coach, player, but also good timing. I mean, good timing. The timing has not been so good for the Dolphins last season. We have a lot of injuries. This season again. But the good thing with this season, last season I was like concerned because we only goes to slant, drag, hyper focus Tyreek Hill. And so we could see at the end of the season from last season that people get adjusted to that. So it become more difficult, And this season, I saw a lot of good things. First of all, the running game more involved. Devon Etchen much more involved in the passing. By the way, I have a great feeling of Devon Etchen finishing on your podcast, but I'm not saying more. Don't want to spoil anything. You didn't tell me nothing, but I have some feelings sometimes, and I have a great feeling that he will finish on your show one day, and it will be awesome. But look at Devon Etchen. He's a great weapon. And Mike McDaniel, even if sometimes we can question him, his coaching and play calling, the using of Devon Etchen and Jonnu Smith, I will talk to the offense first, have been amazing. I mean, those two players are the two type of player we were waiting for last season. We said all along last season, we should to involve more running backs. We should to involve more tight ends. Even if Mostert have so much touchdown last year, we didn't run the ball a lot. And this season, we have more balanced football offense. And I think it's worked. It worked.
Yeah, I think it was a much more balanced attack. I I think the run game fell off a little bit towards the end of the season, which was frustrating and kind of hampered us a little bit. Because, man, in that stretch when Tua was out, man, the running game was awesome. The running game, like, really came on. It was doing whatever it wanted. And when he came back, it was good for a week or two.
Yeah.
Then a couple injuries. You know, we lost Austin Jackson. And then it was just after that, it would seem like Alec Ingold even was missing a couple games. He got banged up. And after that, man, we really just couldn't run the ball the same, it seemed. But, yeah, Achan's awesome. I think next year you might see more Jalen Wright and Achan playing all over the place as a true weapon, which he already does, but you can use him more that way. And, man, Jonnu's been awesome. Jonnu came here. He's had great years in the past, but he's kind of been in some of the some bad teams, bad situations that haven't really benefited him. But, man, he came back here in the offseason. He said he wanted to get back to his peak shape and back to where he wanted to be physically so he could be the best person he could be on the field. And, I mean, there's nothing to complain about Jonnu.
Yeah.
He was awesome this year. I mean, all-time best tight end season ever. So, I mean, it's hard to complain about that.
Oh yeah, he had a Pro Bowl season. I mean, he should have made the Pro Bowl like a Jason Sanders forever or Zach Sealer. And talking about Jonnu Smith, he was your second or third guest on the show, right?
Jonnu Smith. I think he was
guess
fourth.
it
I think it was fourth.
You have Blake Ferguson first.
Blake
Tyreek shows up. Tyreek shows up a few show after, right?
Yeah, it was Blake Ferguson, Alec Ingold, Tyreek Hill, Jonnu Smith.
And Jonnu Smith. I forgot Alec Ingold. And you was famous with Jonnu Smith because he trashed all the Buffalo Bills, and even today, Cameron Wolf took that.
Yeah,
I mean that's amazing. Just for us being just, and I say for you guys because I was not part of that, but just having fun, talking about what we love, creating content for the community, and having those kind of connection. I mean, it's crazy. So, two thumbs up for you guys, huh? By the way, huh? Joe and Ghost of Adam Gaze, but I don't remember the name. I'm sorry, but you're true with Eric. Your four are just great, and Jonnu Smith was talking on your show that he's working hard to have a big season, and look. Facts. He has a big season.
Yep, that's true.
And to finish the offense, we have to talk about maybe something I think we talk since Richmond Webb quit the Miami Dolphins, the offensive line, man. I mean, I let you speak about the offensive line. I don't want you to enter on that because our golden guests have been Teron Armstead. So, man, I have to saying just positive thing about the offensive line. By the way, the offensive line, it's not that bad. I mean, but yeah, I'd let you speak about that.
Yeah, so I think that the problem with the O-line is not so much like we have great pieces on the O-line. I think it's the weak links. So, like, it's like that old saying, you're only as strong as the weakest link on the chain. So, like, if it's everything's awesome, but one spot is a total liability, then everybody's going to pay the price. So I think that it's just getting a solid player at every position. I think, Armstead obviously is an all-pro, as good as it gets. A pro's pro. He's great. I mean, the body, sometimes he gets banged up and the body breaks down on him. But I mean, he gave it his all this year. He probably had his best season as a Dolphin. And he laid it all on the line. And, if we don't lose Austin Jackson, maybe it's a different story. I thought Aaron Brewer was an awesome addition. Yeah. We have a center for sure moving forward. Aaron Brewer was awesome. I mean, we lost Connor Williams, plugged in Aaron Brewer, and he probably was better. And that's an awesome thing to say. And he's young. So you got a guy in the middle of the defense or the offense moving forward for the foreseeable future. I think that they just got to get those guard spots right. The interior is so important, especially with a quarterback like Tua, who's smaller, who can't, he's not 6'5". He can't see everything. Like, I think you really got to keep that, the stuff in his face clean. So I think that, and the run game. Guards are so important in the run game, especially in our scheme with the inside-outside zone. So we really need to just, whatever it takes this offseason, pour the assets right all the way into the O-line. Just build the wall, finally do it. and get it over with. It's so frustrating. Like every year, we all know we get on these shows, we talk about the football team. O-line needs to be better. O-line needs to be better. O-line needs to be better. And, you know, and they'll tell you that we're more concerned than they are or whatever. But I think the noise is loud now. They know they need to go fix the O-line. There's no way around it anymore.
Especially because I don't know if Teron will stay at Miami. I mean, he has a contract that can be cut for saving cap space. I don't know if Logan Paul have been enough promising to putting in a starter position at left tackle. I don't know. Maybe Austin Jackson staying on the field in the entire season, and you just focus on guard, and you can have a great offensive line. You never know. But Brewer, I mean, sorry for the accent when I'm saying Brewer, but I don't know how to say it in the same way like you. I should love to say it in the same way. But Brewer, I mean, it was one of the signing that we all questioning when they said the signing. How Brewer, we were like, is he enough good? Yeah, he struggled a little bit in Tennessee, and he's probably one of the best, if he's not the best, addition with Jonu and Callis of the season. I mean, I'm saying that, but I have to put some respect to the linebacker position too, because they were so good. But to finish the offense also, I forgot that, but I have to talk about something that it's a little tricky. What about Tyreek, man? I mean, I'm sure you're texting him every day asking, are you staying? Are you not?
I reached out to Tyreek like the day after it happened. We talked a little bit. We didn't get into are you staying? Are you going? We just had a good conversation. You know, he told me some things he was feeling. You know, we talked a little bit. It wasn't nothing like down to the details, but you know, I think Tyreek he's a competitor. When he came on the show last year, he talked about how pissed he was after the Chiefs playoff loss. He said, you know, I went into the locker room, I punched my fucking locker. He was like, I hate losing. He was like, that money's good. Money's great, but winning's everything. I like winning. Like, he was like, that's above everything. So I think he's a competitor. When you're the best of the best and you can't be the best of the best due to circumstances or not having a quarterback or whatever the case may be, it's frustrating. You know, that's the first time in his career he missed the playoffs. So, you know, he plays through an injury, he puts it all on the line for nothing, essentially. And I think he just got caught up in the moment. I mean, we'll know more as everything unfolds. Obviously, a lot of things have happened. So even if he realizes he messed up and he wants to be here, do the Dolphins overlook that and say, okay, let's do this? Or do they want to move on? You don't know. So there's a lot of moving pieces to that. There's a lot of opinions online right now. Fans are upset. You know, I've never seen an entire fan base damn near switch on a person so fast, which, you know, I understand it. I mean, he definitely could have went about it a better way, probably behind closed doors, obviously. Not in front of the world, but that's how it happened. And that's what we got. So that's how we got to handle it. And I think we'll know more as the offseason gets going. I don't think it's something that's going to drag out till training camp. I think we'll know, like, when free agency and everything, new league year starts, they're probably going to want to make a decision on that. With him being such a high-profile player and having such a big contract, you really want to handle that as soon as possible.
And I understand what you're saying about the people out there being very, I mean, one day they are in, one day they are out. Because, I mean, we made the playoff 2 years in a row. It didn't happen since, I mean, 2001 and 2002, I guess.
Yeah, something like early 2000s.
Yeah. So with Dave Wanstead, I guess it was the first and second year when he was coach. Whatever, it's the past. So we have to talk less about the past for the Miami Dolphins, because it's so hurtful when you know that it's been 50 years that we didn't won a Super Bowl. It's hurt, but you know, for people, it's because last year we really felt that it was like a playoff and maybe a Super Bowl, maybe, I don't know, but final conference type team build last year. So the minimum, I guess, the fan was expecting is to go into the playoff again, and not reaching that. I mean, the people goes crazy because it's always the same thing. Always same old Dolphins. It's injury. We fall in dramatic way. We should won. We didn't won. For some reason, the last game of the season, you have to compete against a team who play reserve team, like the Broncos. The Broncos was playing the Chiefs, but it was the second team. So it has to always be like that. We never have to like a real last week when every team is playing their against other team that want to, because the New York Giants played like never that game. They really want to upset the Dolphins, but for some reason we don't have the same chance. And I guess this is why. And people get maybe a little tired of, I mean, I would not say Mike McDaniel, but the way they communicate. The way we communicate stuff, like everyone is coming late after meetings, stuff like that. This isn't the right way to communicate, because it's maybe not really. I mean, it's like I feel that they're throwing candies to people to speak each other and not seeing really what happened, and like the defense. You look at the defense all season. People was like, season is not good enough. Defense not good enough. Defense not good enough. And when you look at the numbers of the defense this season, it's almost a top 10 defense of the league. That is crazy, For some reason, we love to always look at the wrong direction. What talk about the defense? I know you like the defense, so
Yeah.
I guess you will have Kelly Campbell too.
Well, I can say this. I can say I understand both sides, because I say this too. At the end of, I think they had a top 5 unit, if I'm not mistaken, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, and that's awesome. I think the problem is, much like the entirety of the Dolphins, is in the big games against the real teams, they can go from being a top 5 defense to looking like, how the hell do these guys even play football? Because like, that's my biggest issue with the Dolphins in general, but that's the truth. Like, they looked amazing down the stretch, and then but they went into Lambeau and no one knew how to tackle. You know what I mean? I think we had like 16 missed tackles or something. It was like a record. And I get it, the weather, but like that's one of your biggest like criticisms. You can't go prove everybody right in prime time on Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? So my problem with the defense, and I think the defense overachieved by all means. The defense overachieved. Anthony Weaver in his first season had a really good unit. I think everybody can agree with that. The problem was when Josh Allen came into the building, or, a top team, they found ways to take advantage of our defense. They found the ways. So, hey, and, one more year in the system, Weaver, I don't think is going to get a head coaching job. He should be back year 2, get a little bit of, continuity in the building. That should help. And, work on the trenches a little bit. I think we can beefing up the D-line, add another linebacker. We're going to need some safeties. But I like the defense, but I do understand some of the criticisms because, like I said, but that falls on the whole team. In big games, when the lights are bright, it's kind of all the same,
Yeah, and again, we have so polarized. I tried that word. I should not.
Polarizing.
Well, yeah, you heard him. Always in the bad direction. I mean, everyone was focused on Poyer, the secondary, bad. But I miss the time we have a good D line. And this season, the D line was good. I mean, Sealer and Calais Campbell. I have to remember Randy Starks. The last time we have a great, D line. You know what I'm talking about.
Yep.
And you have in the linebacker position, I mean Brooks, and you have the one who come from
Tyrell Dotson.
Dotson, yes, and they play very good, and Anthony Walker shows up and have a pretty good games too. I mean, that was good, and I really feel it was good. But for some reason, again, Jalen Phillips injured. Shaquan Barrett retired. after week one, before week one.
Yeah.
Bradley Chubb didn't show up the entire season. Ogba is good, but he's not enough. And you have to give time to Chop, because when you see at the end of the season with Chop, imagine Jalen Phillips being on the field. Man, I mean, there is always something. That's why maybe it's frustrating for people, because we know that we need to win against good teams. We need that. We need positive record teams. But in the same way, we need to have the stars who align in the same time. You know, we have a great football team. I think the offense, even if we can say anything, and I am the first one who's questioning maybe the play calling or the feeling of the game. Sometimes I see when we're playing positive teams, positive record team, or playoff contender teams, I think sometimes, but I am someone in my catch. It's easy to talk. I'm not saying I have the good view. It's just my amateur feeling. That's what I'm saying. Sometimes I'm feeling we're not playing the way we should play in that moment against the team. Sometimes I'm like the Lions yesterday. We're doing stuff that we should have not doing, because maybe we are stressful. I don't know what's coming, but I know this team wants to prove they can beat a positive team, and this can be your best friends to getting better, to improve, or your worst friend because it getting you frustrated. And I guess this is what happened with the fan. They're getting frustrated and they want to have someone to a guilty. Some game it's a Poyer, Tua, McDaniel, Tyreek Hill. Man, we have Tyreek Hill on this team, and we are saying he should leave. I mean, are we crazy? Are we crazy?
I mean, hey, hard times, man. Hard times will break a good man. So, you know, like I said, I get the criticism. I mean, people should be fed up. I mean, you watch, like you brought up the Lions game. You watch a team like the Commanders, who went from like a 2 to 3 win team to beating the Lions in Detroit, headed to the NFC Championship in 1 year, because they built it right. They got a new owner. They got a new GM. They got a new coach. They got the right quarterback. Now look at them. They went and got the right vets. They've got a good team of young and older players. And it's working out for them. You know, it's not always apple for apple. You can't just say, oh, look what they did. Why can't we do that? Because a lot of things fell their way. They're very fortunate. You know, a lot of pieces just fell right into place. Dan Quinn is a guy that's been around the block before. He knows what he's doing. He calls a great defense, and they end up getting the Rookie of the Year, in my opinion, and one of the best quarterbacks in the league now. Honestly, we're past all those conversations. Jaden Daniels is the man. Like he's one of the top guys now. He's proven himself already. That helps. I mean, imagine how much helps if we go take Josh Allen from the Bills and put him on our team. We're automatically that much better. Like, of course, a lot of things went their way, not taken from them. They had to make these decisions, and they made all the right ones, and they got it all right. And I think they have like $95 million in cap space this offseason. God.
Yeah.
I might have to change to a Commander. I might have to change to a Commanders podcast.
Maybe we should. But you know what? I like what I said to my wife. My wife asked me someday when we were younger, are you loyal with the one you love? I say, hey, listen to me. I'm with the Dolphins since '96. I'm a French guy, so I can pick any team I want. No one will come to my city and say, oh, you was for the Dolphins first. Why you go to the 49ers? So I pick that team. I stay with that. Be cool. I mean, if I'm still a Dolphins fan, you can be cool. Okay. If Scarlett Johansson shows up, maybe I will change, but we never know. That's a joke. But this is crazy, because you talk about the Commanders and the Lions, and in both teams you have the Dolphins, because the look at the Lions from last year to this year. What is the difference? They have so many injuries. I mean, we know that 32 teams have to face injuries. That's the part of the game. So we can't take that as an excuse. But if you look at the Lions, okay, they have so much injuries. They were first seed, so they are a resilient team. But yesterday, you can see in the defense, they missed their starters because they have so much injury on defense. Again, the Commanders did a pretty a good game. Like you said, Daniels scramble and kill the defense in the pass, man. That game yesterday was a very good game, and it was 5 a.m. in the morning when and so I have to stay awake. But it deserved the shot.
It was worth it, man.
It was a good football game. But if you look at the Commanders, almost no injuries. So sometimes that is a factor. And for the Dolphins, he has been a factor for the last 2 seasons because, I'm not saying they will win against the Bills, against the Packers this year in Lambeau. I will not saying that, but it helps when you have the maximum of the starters. And I've been saying that with my whole coast is a coach in Canada, and we say that every time you will miss a starter with the Dolphins, a good starter, it will be tough for the team because the second string of the team is not at the level that maybe help to be the next man's up, which is not the case in the offensive line because I feel that every guys who stand up after someone get injured did the job. You have Jones, you have such a great player. Logan Paul shows up some games because Teron of Austin was injured, and he did a great. So we have some good, some bad. I think it's the good thing for the Dolphins for the season.
Real quick.
Yeah.
You keep saying Logan Paul.
Yeah. No. Oh man.
Patrick Paul.
Patrick Paul, man. I think I'm saying that since the first time of the show.
Yeah.
And my bad is the actor who passed away. Man, it's kind of great. No, Logan Paul is the streamer.
Yeah.
Man, Patrick Paul, man, and it was the peak of my guy, man. So it's on live. I can cut it. So it's for me. So
it's all good.
Patrick Paul. And it was the peak of my guy, Richmond Webb, man. But
that's true. That's true.
So to finish with the Dolphins, what we could expect for next season? It's very early, but what we could expect? They will cut some player to free cap space, stuff like that. What you tell us some stuff, Bobby?
Yeah, I think I think it's really a tricky offseason. So I think it's going to be hard for them to hide their hand. I think you're going to know exactly where we're headed through. Most off seasons, you really don't know. Are they all in? Are they kind of just trying to get by? I think it's going to be very obvious this off season, and it's going to be a weird off season. I think because I don't know that they'll go and be as aggressive, restructuring people and creating cap space and adding new players and all that again. And now I don't even know that you can even afford to cut people like Bradley Chubb, which was everybody's first thing. Everybody's first offseason move, because it was so easy, is cut Bradley Chubb and create cap space. But I'm not so sure that's your number one choice anymore. Look, we got, man, the Tyreek situation makes it tricky. Jalen Ramsey, he's another guy that's a veteran, Pro Bowl type player that, you don't know with these players, where their head's at. So does he want to be here for another year if he feels like he's not contending for a championship? These top guys, everybody wants them, but the reality is they want to win. They don't want to just be I'm the best in my position, but I don't care if we win. No, these guys want to play for championships. And this offseason, that's what they got to really can you fix this current team enough to compete for a championship? Or do you got to realize that we failed the rebuild and this isn't going to work? And I think they probably won't make that choice, obviously, verbatim. They won't say that, but I think this season will prove that. So I think if it fails this year, everyone's gone. I think that they're here to stay, but if it fails this year, you're looking at Greer, McDaniel, Tua. I think they take they're gonna do a full reset. But if they can somehow find a way to create some cap space, fix some of these big holes and depth, because that's our issue. You kept bringing that up. Depth is a big issue on this team. It's very top heavy. You got guys like Tyreek and Jalen Ramsey, but it's the guys under them. It's the guys that, like if we do like the Lions, they lost like 22 people this season, but just kept on rolling because they had the depth. The roster structure was better than ours. If we lost 22 people, we'd be trying to play in the France League.
Yeah.
Like that's the difference. Yeah, that's I know
that's a great idea, Bobby.
That'd be awesome for you, but I'm just saying, like, the roster structure is terrible. Like, you keep pumping, you got like 3 players that cost like 30% of the salary cap on this team. We got to work on finding out how to build a team with $5 and $10 million players. And you got to hit on the guys. When you get a chance to hit on draft picks, you got to hit them. And, that's the difference. And I don't know. I'd love to give you a black and white answer, but like I said, I think this is such a crossroads, especially now with the Tyreek situation and other guys. Calais Campbell, is he going to retire? Is he going to play another year? If he does play another year, is he going to come back to Miami? Teron Armstead, is he going to retire? Is he going to come back? If he does come back, are we going to keep him? Is he going to want to be here? I mean, you got this is like all your best players. Kendall Lamb might retire. That's another offensive lineman. Like some of the stuff that you had going for you last year might not be here. So you had big holes. Now you might have more holes, and you don't have, and you got less money.
You have less money. You have so much question mark. Bradley Chubb, what they will do with him. You have to resign some of the great players that have been just signed for 1-year contract. What you will do with them, and again, you're running off the contract of your QB1 too, because you have a span with him of 2-3 years, because it was a 4-year contract, right? With the 1-year option, it's 5th at the end, right?
Yep.
So you are on your time. You should take the best of your QB because it's its prime. So it's a tricky off season, because if you go for a rebuild, I mean, it's you will lost almost all of your great player you have on the team. So and you give to Tua the same thing he has in his last season with Flores, secondary wide receiver, who are not first wide receiver in other teams. So it's kind of crazy. If I can share my opinion, I will say you can give your contract to your quarterback being in the playoff the last 2 seasons, and just this season didn't going and go to a rebuild. It would be a nonsense. But in the same time, you have such a bad money cap space that you have to find something. And the best way to clean your cap space, it's to sell the house. And so you get free to all your contract. And you know that restructuring, you just put your problem for next season. And every time you do that, it's a problem for next season. So you're still in the problem, but you are artificially good for the season. So I mean, I don't know, but it will be so a shame for the Dolphins as a football team. You have Tyreek Hill, you have Jalen Ramsey, you have those players, and you just enjoy 1, 2, 3 seasons with them. I mean, that is crazy. I mean, it will be so shame for the Dolphins. Remember, since yesterday, we are with the Browns, the second streak of not a team not going to the final conference. So you don't having a better karma by rebuilding your team. You know that we will be in the same position for forever. So I don't know. They win a lot of money for manage that team. So they have to find the solution, and we will see what they're doing. But I guess in the draft, they will going for player who can have immediate impact, not promising that they did last season.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do you know how maybe where they scheduled to go on what type of player for the draft? They maybe not sharing that for now.
What type of player?
Yeah, they're going for the draft.
I mean, we can all look at the team and see the obvious needs. I think that O-line has to be at the top. A big nose tackle type guy, another defensive tackle to go with Sealer. I think you're going to have to get a safety at some point. So safety could even be the top I mean, honestly, it wouldn't surprise me at all to see a safety at 13. That would make a lot of sense, especially if like a guy like Malachi Starks from Georgia is there still. That could be a home run pick at 13. It's crazy because this is what really made me realize how bad of a job Chris Greer has done, in my opinion. When we went over the team needs as a group for this season, headed into the offseason, it was the exact same needs from last year.
Yeah.
It's like they did a good job of adding talent to the team, but didn't really fix any of the holes and things that held the team back last year. So for 2 years in a row, they completely ignored our biggest problems and even laughed at us and said it was crazy to think that they should be worried. But so I can sit here and tell you that we need obviously offensive linemen, but they might not think the same. But I don't know. It's still early in their process. I mean, the season hasn't even ended. Obviously, that'll come. Rumors and stuff will start coming out about who they want. And I want to, just so we're clear, I'm not saying they're going to rebuild this offseason. I just think that their moves will indicate the future.
The future.
So
Yeah.
I don't think like in 3 months from now they're going to like cut everybody and go into full rebuild, because I don't think they're going to rebuild with the same regime. So I think that they'll either really try to get aggressive, like you said, and restructure and kick the can down the road and get desperate to fix this team and be aggressive, and that's okay. Or they'll do like put Band-Aids on it and try to just fix what they can with little minimal assets. And if it doesn't work, then everybody knows that they're out and that it's time to reset and restart and everything else.
And again, you have your QB1. I mean, when you do that, you do that because you will try to find the quarterback of the future, having the first or second pick of the draft. Look at the Commanders. They throw their elite player 2 years ago when they, remember during the season they trade away. He didn't play. The pass rusher. They draft.
Young.
Yeah, Young. They trade away almost the entire D line.
Yeah.
But the draft after that, they didn't go to a quarterback. They wait until they feel that they find the right one, and look at what they did. I mean, long story short, Dan Quinn, no one talking about him last season as a potential head coach of the year. When you're going into the right time with the right player, everything goes good. Look, Dan Campbell was the coach favorite for almost every fan in the league, and since yesterday, he maybe not the one, the favorite one. Everything changed based off results of stuff like that. But for the Dolphins, I guess they have to try to find the best balance on continuity and trying to reshape the salary cap, because this is what affects those when you have, like you say, 22 injured, you still to have a great structure of your team. And we can see it this year. You lost Tua. We didn't have a QB2, a real QB2. So that's a problem. Hey, let's talk about Richmond Webb, please, for just a few minutes, because as you know, we try to campaign for him. We try to.
Oh yeah.
He has just 2 years left as a modern era. For just, I guess everyone knows the process, but just to explain the process again, you have 20 years of eligibility as a modern, 5 years after you getting retired. So you have 20 years that you can have a maximum of 5 modern era player being elected every year. And so he's in his last 2 years. The season after the next year and the year after that is his last 2 seasons as a modern era. After that, he will fall in the senior group, and we all can forget that we will be alive when he will be elected, because it can take 50, 60, 7, maybe 100 years to be elected, because every team has like 3 or 5 players in the senior group who has the potential to be an Hall of Famer. For us, it's Kuchenberg and Clayton. We just have 2. So we have been very lucky to have a lot of players being inducted. But Richmond Webb is the actual modern era Dolphins player who deserve the most. And by numbers, far, he's really deserving to be in the Hall of Fame. And what we're trying, because we are just a fan, and because we are just a fan, we have just a small window of some stuff we can do. It's to create awareness. And the things I'm looking for next season, it's try to bring as much, and I say I, but it's we try to bring as much as people on social media and maybe in the stadium promoting Richmond Webb career. And you know what, Bobby? It's funny because every time I say Bobby, I remember Bobby Digital song, Bobby, and it's coming to my head, when Reza, we have to find a way to all gang together on that and try to promote as much as we can. And sometimes you guys will be surprised how much views numbers on social media matters and we did some great job last season because we hit like a 60K views on Twitter when we try to post some stuff. You have Darius Rucker retweeting. It was huge, a huge help. But we really need to have more. We need to have more testimonial from players, former players. Of course, the high selling will be Dan Marino or Bruce Smith. Bruce Smith is one of the really cool arguing who was his best and toughest challenge when he played. But I'm not saying please help us, Bobby, but at some way, if someone feel that Richmond deserves to be in the Hall of Fame because he has the number and the credentials to be in, it's now or never. At the end of the next 2 seasons, if he's not elected, we all forget you, me, and others will not be there anymore, and especially Richmond will not be there anymore to receive. Or if he will, it will be like Steve McMichael this year. I don't know if you remember someone who was on a medical.
His wife was there.
Yeah, in a medical bed. So we all want to see Richmond in good health when you receive that, and you know better than anybody. If you ask him to come to your show, he will go in instantly, and you didn't need to ask so much. So what we can do, and to be an all-together group, community, international community, and try to push the best as we can to create the awareness on social media.
Yeah, I think this year was a good start. I mean, like, you're pushing that pretty hard. Obviously, I shared everything and I want to say Lisa does a lot. Yeah. So I try to share everything
Ali,
I can.
Ashley.
I retweet everything. So I try to gas it up and get it out there as much as I can. So I think this year was a good step. I mean, to be in the semifinalist
for the first time,
that's a big deal. That's a step. That means, that's progress. You always just want to see progress. I know that every year is different because you don't know the crop of talent. So, next year's talent might be better or worse. You don't know. And that goes a big way of who's going to make it or who's not going to make it. That's waiting, And I really thought this year was going to be the year looking at the crop, but it wasn't. And it is tricky because, like you said, 2 years, it sounds like, oh, he was a semifinalist this year. Next year, he should be, a shooter. Yeah, he should be in there. And by all means, I hope that is the case. But you just never know. And if we know anything, the Hall of Fame it's weird how they do this because it never really always makes sense. Because, like, if you do, like you was comparing him to someone else, if you do that, it's always like, well, this guy should have got in way before that guy. But it never works that way. I don't know if it's the politics or who the voters are or how that all works out, but it always seems to be a little weird how they end up choosing people. But you're right. If anybody's deserving, it's Richmond Webb. I mean, he's the epitome of consistency. This guy was just the same dude for every game his whole career. Like, and you're right. As a human, even more deserving. And that says a lot because he was a great player. Because you're right. He has time for everybody. He always has time. I mean, every time I get on Twitter, it seems he's on a different podcast. He's showing somebody else love, giving somebody time. And with that being said, every time I got on Twitter the last 3 to 6 months, I seen a Richmond, you have Richmond Webb to the Hall of Fame post. I mean, there was a lot of support. So I agree, man. Richmond Webb needs to get in. I mean, we don't have a lot of Dolphins in the first place, so we need that for the culture. If nothing else, we need to get Richmond in there to help our numbers. But he deserves it as a player and, more importantly, a person.
Yeah, of course. And you have to remember that Bruce Smith averaged almost 1 sack per game in his career. A little less, but it was almost 1 sack per game.
Mm-hmm.
He faced 14 times Richmond Webb, 3.5 sacks. So the numbers dramatically drop against him. And if you remember, when Don Shula was the coach, the Dolphins was a pass-happy offense.
Mm-hmm,
so, of course, we know the quick release of Dan Marino. Some people are saying that because of that, but on third and long, and most of the time, you know that the QB needs his time. He not always throw the ball in less than 2 seconds. It's not true. If you look at the games before in the 90s, you can see that most of the time Richmond did his work not to avoid the sack, avoid the pressure, which is most important. So I hope for next season we can make help to Richmond to go to the final, because in the final, in the process of the Pro Football Hall of Fame process, when you enter to the final, you've been discussing. You have a committee with all the selectors, and they're discussing the case of the 15th finalists. Until that, they're not really speak about a player as a committee. So I think it's important next season he goes to the final, even if he's not making the Hall of Fame. We will be in a position for the last year as a modern era. What you guys doing? Are you electing, or you let him fall to the Hall of Fame, and we'll all know it will take forever? That's it. So that's why I think if we all love the Miami Dolphins, we all love the player, and we all love Richmond Webb because he was a legend on and off the field, we should take a minute every time to just retweet quote. It's great to quote again and show and being respectful and not questioning the selectors, because they are humans, and every time they're seeing people questioning them what they're doing, they cut. So that can affect Richmond chance. So this is what I'm saying. And for the last part of the live, we have to talk about France, man. Not because you're going to France soon and we will have a great time, man. You will visiting all the bar in Paris. Be careful, my friend, because you will see what is Paris in that time. But to speak about that, we have to speak about the Paris Musketeers, who just signed for their air coach for the next 2 years, Jack Del Rio, and for a team who has been created 2 years ago. 3 years ago, and playing in a small league, I will say, without being disrespectful, because it's a league who is improving every year, but it's still not a major league in the world of American football. It's a huge asset for the team, for the league, for the awareness of football in France and Europe. And I know that you DM me for that, so I think it's great. I mean, people are speaking. Not a lot, but speaking now a little more about Paris Musketeers.
Yeah, that was a big one. Like I said, myself, that's a perfect example. I was on Twitter yesterday morning. Me and you were talking, and it was yesterday or Friday?
Friday.
Okay, so Friday, yeah.
You forgot when we talk together. It's like a bad couple. It's like a bad couple. We know each other since a while. That's why.
Yeah, well, we talk so much I can't remember. But yeah, I'm scrolling Twitter and I see that and I'm like, Jack Del Rio, whoa. And yeah, I immediately reached out to you and was like, man, Jack Del Rio's coming over. That's a big move, man. We could talk about that on the podcast now. That is, man. That's a household name. That's like you said, for a league that is just getting started, to have a name that is, well recognized and that big, that's huge. And that'll be huge for the program too, because not just getting the name, but you're getting the coach, you're getting the experience. You have somebody now in the building that can coach and implement the game in the highest form. So I think that's awesome. I don't know much about the league, and I'm not gonna act like I do, but I do know that can't be a bad move. Having a guy that's coached football at the highest level with the best athletes in the world, who has been around the game for the last, 30 years, 40 years, is going to have a lot of knowledge, and he's going to be able to, install and teach things that probably aren't accessible to you.
Yeah, and you know what? It's important, because if you took that on perspective for the next decade, if it's growing that way, it's also give a chance, because we all know that there is a very small chance that you can have a French player in the NFL. It's not like the NBA, because basket in Europe is a great level. So when a European guy goes to the NBA, we know that he can compete. Jokic have been MVP. So you have players that didn't go to the college, but have been very good in the NBA. It's not the same thing on football. On football, you have to follow the process. Your best chance is to play in college before to go to the NFL to have a real chance, because they are the best athlete in the world. And the competition level, it's maybe at the highest in any sports that you can have in the NFL. So you can't come from France and being a starter in the NFL that way. There is to have a process, and we never know in how that this can be developed. If they are coached in-house by a former NFL coach, this is a good start. And if we start younger, it gives a better chance, and we never know. Because I know it's important to have international game for us. For you guys, it's not good, because you have to wake up early to watch. It's your time. It's your turn to wake up. Not as much as us, but it's not the same way to usual Sunday football. But you know that to promote a sport, you have to have players to follow. And to not have a French player, Spanish player, you have German player or English player who have played in the NFL. But for France, you have to have a player. For us, it was Tony Parker in the NBA. You remember? So we don't have that in football. So for the Roger Goodell, he wants to make as much money as he can as a business brain. He need to have more than just international games. This is not enough. This is not enough. Because the people going to a stadium watching an international game are already fans. It's not the new one yet that you're chasing for. But if you have a local team playing at a good level, having a great player, and you can start following football in that way, playing football, young flag football, stuff like that, this is where you start growing your sport in other countries. When we go to Madrid, you will probably have the Madrid player squad, soccer, football, promoting that to help. But for the soccer fan, they will not going to watch football, because they will not understand. So it's a long process, and it's not just watching a game. You have to understand the rules, strategical stuff, because if you start talking about the scheme, Bobby, you will lose a lot of people here. That's the reality. So I hope with Jack Del Rio and with national TV, because the national TV is aware, is putting now the Paris Musketeer player games, which is a good help. With that and the NFL, it's help. And because remember, you go to France, you say, do you know Tom Brady? You maybe have in between 1 and 20%, maybe 2 saying yes. The 18 other will say, oh, we know Messi and Ronaldo. So we compete against soccer, which is not offense, maybe the greatest sports in the world. So the most famous one, So it's a long road for France. And I guess with Jack Del Rio and some great results with Paris, and we can promote and have a better view in France. And you know what? I'm looking forward to you coming to Paris and watching a Paris Musketeer, because you know what? It's funny. The European Football League, it's where it's in the off season for football. So you don't have a game in that time. So you can pick a time in May or June, and I visit you the Eiffel Tower, stuff like that, and we go watching a football game. But hey, man, be cool. Huh? The level is not the same. Huh?
No, experience is experience, man. I'd love to do it. And the good thing going your way is I wouldn't have to. It wouldn't be hard to convince my wife to go to Paris.
that starts always with that. For Richmond Webb, is the same thing. His wife wants to go to Paris, but you guys always like, oh, I don't know French, ça va pas.
Yeah, if I tried to convince my wife to drive 4 hours for a football game, it'd probably be hard. But I could probably get her to France for sure.
Don't worry, my wife will take your wife going to Paris, Champs-Élysées, going to shopping, and we go to watch a game just between us. Don't worry, just one day. It's a good deal.
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Hey, Bobby, thank you very much. It's been a long while. We have to do with that. Just for the record, it was not the best time in France because at that time you don't have so many people connected, and for you guys in the morning also. But hey, it's a good time. It was a great moment to do it, and I'm looking forward to have another, time that we can share with the thing. And I forgot just one thing. Sorry for that. Just promote your channel, please. The Dive podcast, please.
First of all,
and your team.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm glad to come on your channel. I love what you've been doing. I love that your passion and how much energy and time you really put in. I know that you really care about this. So first, thank you. And I think highly of you. Even if it took 2 years to make this happen, it's not you, it's me. I got a crazy schedule. But yeah, this was cool. Like you said about the timing's weird. I can honestly say this is the first time I've done a podcast drinking coffee. So that's different. That's cool. I woke up. I woke up at 8:15 Central Time. And I go, he said 10, but that's Eastern. Oh, wow. I got a podcast in 45 minutes. That's why I reached out to you.
Okay.
It's 9 a.m. my time. And so I set up for the podcast. My wife went and got coffee. But anyways, yeah. So I do the Dive Bar podcast. If you're in America, you probably know a little bit about the Dive Bar podcast. So we're a fan-based podcast, but we have NFL players, high-level players on there. It's a different, if you want a true different experience firsthand with top NFL talent in a different setting, they're more cutting up, laid back, talking about, more than football, laughing. Then the Dive Bar is your place. If you want to, get to know players on a personal level, hear more about their story, see them in a different setting where they're laughing, cutting up, maybe talking a little shit. But nonetheless, we've had a bunch of players on: Tyreek, Jonnu, Alec Ingold. Okay, I don't want to name them all, but in this year, we've already got a ton booked for this year. So it's going to be awesome. I highly recommend coming over and giving us a chance, especially for like the people in France and different countries. I don't think there's a better way to get the insight and the one-on-one perspective of the NFL players like we deliver. I really think we do a good job in that. I do. I take that very serious. I'm very proud of the product and the setting that we've created. All the players afterwards are always like, dude, that was so cool. That's nothing like anything I've ever done. Like, thank y'all. They thank us, which is truly humbling for creating that outlet for them, because it's just different than anything else they get to do.
Yeah, and the long story short, Jeff Darlington come to your show, and it's him saying, "Hey, we're doing it or what?" So you didn't need to asking him. You find the whole story. I will not share the whole story. Go to your channel and watch the episode. But you have this. A lot of people are putting that, and it's amazing. And you know what I saying? You have the Pat McAfee show.
Mm-hmm.
So the Dive Bar podcast in the same way, just dudes having fun. You have strong and real stuff sharing. You're not just throwing your thoughts. You're also saying sometimes inside story. You have player coming and sharing. This is great. So it's the best way to have a great thing between just a regular fans podcast like I can have, and for example the Pat McAfee show. You guys are in the middle. So it's the best. It's the best place to have a great time and have a great fun, because you guys still don't have a producer behind. You have a producer, it's Eric, but you don't have a producer saying, "Oh, you guys don't need to say this, don't say that."
Right.
No, you're
Yep.
still free. You're still free. So this is a good
Absolutely.
time to be. And how many subscribe? You have 2K?
About
I
to
don't
hit
remember.
2K. The problem that we're seeing is we're so big on Twitter.
Yeah,
that,
on Twitter.
People just get our content on Twitter. But I think we might have to go exclusively, at least for our shows, on YouTube.
Yeah, and if I can share, for example, I don't have the Twitter premium account, so that's why this live, it's not visible on Twitter. If it was, we will have so much more people interacting today. That's the thing. But it's true that you have so many people watching and didn't subscribe. So I will say this: these guys deserve not 2K, 10K for at least. So I will say, just for every Friends fan, subscribe to and all over the world, subscribe to their channel. They need to have 2K soon, and then if you have 10K before training camp, because you don't tell me nothing, but I know you, and I know the connection you have with some of player, because some player talk to me sometimes too. You guys will have a great off season, I'm pretty sure, and not just player, journalist, and guys that you know on Twitter, like Jeff Darlington sharing. You will have other guys like this. So, for example, a Lions quarterback, a whole Lions quarterback. I mean, we know him for safety, but I will not say more. But this is it. Hey, sir. I will not telling you to invite me, because you will drop off your audience with me. But you know what? You guys can come to my show, whatever you want, just sharing, and it will be so awesome to share with people. Not just you, the entire team. It will be so great. So looking forward for that. Thank you, Bobby, to taking your time on Sunday to join me and have a great talk. And let's see if the Dolphins can do something to make us feel happy, and just saying, go to hell, other New York or Buffalo or New England. We have to be the number one team in this division, man. Okay, sir.
Appreciate you for having me.
Thank you very. Subscribe to their channel, please. Follow Bobby on social media too, because he can give you some inside story during the off season. So I know you don't want me to send you like a beat writer, but it's kind of I never know how to put you on. I don't know if it's fan, beat writer in the middle. I don't know. So
look,
Bobby.
I think I'm a fan that was fortunate to meet the right people and build relationships, and now I have resources. But I'm just a fan. I'm a fan, and I happen to build some relationships, and I like to share them with the world. So come over to the dive bar. Come over on Twitter. That's my username right below me. We could do it. We could build some relationships.
Before I cut the live, you can't live without saying a French word. So
all right, what you got?
Up to you saying. Do you know a French word?
I don't.
You don't know one?
I don't think I know one.
You don't know merci? Merci, bonjour, merci. Yeah, that's
bonjour.
Thank you.
Yeah, bonjour.
Bonjour, merci. So hello, thank you.
I know bonjour. I knew it, but I didn't know. I don't want to say the wrong. I think it would be better for me to say I don't know than to say the wrong word, and then people are trying. I do got this though, as I showed you earlier. I got this sitting behind me.
Okay, sir. So you can be my next guest in Paris, and I will make you visit the entire city and the good food, man. Because something that's very good in France and Paris, it's the good food, man. So let's enjoy that. Hey, baby, see you soon, and everyone put positive comments on him, because I think that we will have more upside on with the replay. See you guys. See you, Bobby. Have a great day.